Chapter 689. The moon god and the pagoda-bearing heavenly king had already left, but Sun Li and the other two were still waiting. When they saw Jiang Changkong, the three of them hurried forward and heaved a sigh of relief when they saw that he was fine. "Let's go." Jiang Changkong brought them back. This time, they had collected the chaos beast's flesh and blood. They had earned quite a lot. Although he did not obtain anything good, he was able to obtain 800,000 essence, chi, and spirit. In addition to the previous 600,000, it had already reached 1.4 million. As long as he could find an immortal emperor primordial beast, he should be able to advance to the advanced immortal emperor stage very quickly. At that time, he would be invincible among immortal emperors. Even if it was Sun Wuxuan, he could still press the hammer. Sun Li and the other two followed beside him. Northern Devil asked carefully, "Immortal Emperor Justice is already a peak stage Immortal Emperor?" Jiang Changkong replied calmly. Sun Li and the other man were speechless. They had only been separated from Jiang Changkong for a short period of time, and they were already at the peak of the Immortal Emperor realm. "Aren't you improving a little too fast? Do you not need time to break through from the initial stage to the middle stage to the late stage?" The two of them had mixed feelings. They couldn't even look up to such a speed of improvement. They could only despair. Jiang Changkong had completely grown up. In addition, he had the Wheel of Reincarnation and the Judicial Immortal position. The current heavenly court might not dare to kill him. When he returned to the heaven realm, there were already quite a few creatures that entered the heaven realm. They were all from the immortal realm. All the major forces had also brought their own people over. On the golden divine planet, Jiang Changkong and the other two went to look for the immortal emperor. That intermediate stage, immortal emperor, still wanted to choose some items. He wanted half of the rewards this time. When the four of them entered the hall, a strange expression flashed across the intermediate stage, immortal emperor's face. "Lord Immortal Emperor, this is our harvest this time." Jiang Changkong took out a few immortal artifacts, all of which were superior grade 6. Sun Li and the other two also took out their grade 6 celestial artifacts. Their expressions were calm, but their hearts were filled with trepidation. The intermediate stage, Immortal Emperor, looked at the immortal artifact with rage in his eyes. "Do the four of you not want to stay in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance anymore? What does the Celestial Emperor mean?" Jiang Changkong was puzzled, but there was no trace of panic on his face. "Divine Artifact Fragment, Chaotic Beast," the Immortal Emperor said calmly. Jiang Changkong said calmly, "Then you have to go to the Celestial Court." This time, the Celestial Emperor of the Celestial Court went and took everything away. "Bullshit!" The mid-stage Immortal Emperor was enraged. "Don't think that I don't know that you have obtained the flesh of the primal chaos beast. Although I didn't go to the ruins, I have my own sources." Putting aside the divine artifact's origin, hand over the chaos beast's corpse. "Does the Immortal Emperor think that we can deal with the chaotic beasts?" Jiang Changkong frowned. Sun Li and the other two stood beside him without saying a word. Jiang Changkong alone was enough. He was at the peak of the Immortal Emperor realm, and he would definitely be able to become one of the higher-ups in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. As for kicking him out of the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance, Jiang Changkong didn't care at all. As for them, all they wanted now was to follow Jiang Changkong. There were benefits to being with Jiang Changkong. As long as there were gains, they would get a share. Finally, the mid-stage Immortal Monarch's patience ran out. The innate godly patterns filled the air, and the innate aura was awakened. "Immortal Emperor, are you planning to attack?" Jiang Changkong asked calmly. The Immortal Emperor's gaze was sharp and cold. "Since you want to die, I will grant you your wish. I will let you understand that no matter how strong an immortal king is, an immortal emperor won't be able to resist the might of an immortal emperor." "Immortal Emperor?" Jiang Changkong sneered as a towering divine aura surged out. The innate godly patterns shone and directly shattered the immortal emperor's godly patterns. The godly aura was boundless and boundless. Primal chaos laws rose from the boundless chaos like the sun of heaven and earth, the only light in the world, as they filled the entire God planet. Hong long long. The celestial formations were activated and trembled continuously. Jiang Chankong's godly aura rose to the extreme, and only the primal chaos golden body and saint artifact were left. At that moment, the golden god planet shook, and some celestial formations couldn't take it anymore and started to collapse. The celestial palaces and halls were collapsing. The immortals of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance were all terrified. It was like a calamity had arrived. The space started to crack, and a terrifying power caused one's heart to tremble. Peak Immortal Emperor. The mid-stage Immortal Emperor's body went soft as he looked at the person in front of him in fear. Wasn't he just at the peak of the Immortal King realm and infinitely close to the Immortal Emperor realm? Even if this person was comparable to an early-stage Immortal Emperor, he wouldn't be afraid. After all, he was in the mid-stage. But this was a peak Immortal Emperor. Your godly aura is pitifully weak, Jiang Chankong said calmly as he pointed at the mid-stage Immortal Emperor's forehead. Stop. Shock and anger could be heard as a strong Xiantian immortal aura tore through space. 3 figures descended at the same time, but they couldn't stop it in time. Jiang Chankong's finger landed. Bang! Like a watermelon being split open, the soul dissipated. An immortal emperor died, just like that. Jiang Chankong looked at the 3 immortal emperors expressionlessly. What is the meaning of this? 3 immortal emperors, 2 at the peak and 1 at the peak. The strongest combat power of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. The 3 immortal emperors were stunned. We should be the ones asking you that. You killed an immortal emperor for no reason, and now you are asking us what is the meaning of this. Jiang Chankong, the Rogue Cultivator Alliance was formed to unite our strength and survive the battle between the 4 factions. You killed a mid-stage immortal emperor. This is a huge blow to our combat power. The peak immortal emperor in the lead had a gloomy expression. Rogue Cultivator Alliance's alliance leader, Lin Qinshan. 2 deputy alliance leaders, Gu Hanshan and Pei Yuanheng. The 2 peak immortal emperors looked at him coldly. As long as Lin Qinshan said the word, they would attack. Sun Li and the other 2 were shocked. They had obviously heard of their names before. Jiang Chankong said calmly, "One more deputy alliance leader, Jiang Chankong." The 3 frowned. Lin Qinshan's gaze was cold. When you reach the peak immortal emperor, are you going to change the alliance leader? Then you have to work hard to become an immortal reverend first, Jiang Chankong said calmly. Sun Li and the other 2's eyes twitched. Can't you just give in? This is the peak immortal emperor, and there are 2 peak immortal emperors. If the 3 of them join forces, can you beat them? Can you run? Jiang Chankong wasn't afraid at all. If he couldn't beat them, he could run. The atmosphere froze, and the battle was about to start. Sun Li could already feel the anger of the 3 alliance leaders. Lin Qinshan's gloomy face suddenly had a smile. All right, we will have 1 more deputy alliance leader. Jiang Chankong smiled. Alliance leader's choice is correct. My strength far surpasses the intermediate immortal emperor. Alliance leader Jiang, you should kill less. You can't kill the innocent, Lin Qinshan said calmly. Thank you for your reminder, Jiang Chankong said calmly. The 3 of you can leave. Lin Qinshan glanced at the 3 of them and said, Alliance leader Jiang, let's go together. I will tell you about the ruins. Jiang Chankong left with the 2 of them and came to a hall. Lin Qinshan took out a jade pendant and passed it to Jiang Chankong. It contained information about the ruins. There were hundreds of ruins in total. How do you know about these ruins? Jiang Chankong asked. The Heavenly Tao told me. Lin Qinshan smiled. The other 4 factions know about this too. Jiang Chankong. The Heavenly Tao didn't tell me. Could it be that you have a Heavenly Tao fragment too? Jiang Chankong was shocked. The Heavenly Tao was split into 9 parts, and only 6 appeared. Where did these people come from? Without the Heavenly Tao fragment, how could the Heavenly Tao tell them? Chapter 690. Lin Qinshan shook his head. There is no Heavenly Tao fragment, just a notice from the Heavenly Tao. Jiang Chankong didn't believe that the Heavenly Tao would notify him for no reason. About the ruins? Or did the Heavenly Tao think that Lin Qinshan was qualified to fight for the Celestial Emperor position? then he might as well count on himself. In the future, Immortal Emperor Jiang will be in charge of informing them about the ruins. Immortal Emperor Jiang can take half of the treasures. I will only take one item, Lin Qianshan said. Jiang Chongkong asked, which item? How did the previous Immortal Emperor know that I have the chaotic beast flesh? As for the item, it depends on what's in the ruins. As for how he found out about you, Lin Qianshan smiled and shook his head. This is the foundation of my life. I can't tell you. Jiang Chongkong didn't ask more. He changed the topic. The Itinerant Cultivator Alliance is just hiding in the Divine Planet, fighting for the ruins? If Immortal Emperor Jiang wants to go out for a walk, you can too, Lin Qianshan said. Jiang Chongkong frowned slightly. He asked a few more questions, but they were all inconvenient to say. How to protect himself from the 4 factions. He wasn't willing to say either. Since he couldn't get anything out of him, Jiang Chongkong could only leave. He returned to the palace, which became the Immortal Emperor Hall of Justice. Sun Li and the other 2 were at the entrance. Seeing him return, they walked in together. In the future, Immortal Emperor Jiang will be the Vice Alliance leader? Sun Li asked carefully. Sun Qing and Northern Devil were also looking forward to it. After all, they had some friendship with Jiang Chongkong. They weren't familiar with the other Immortal Emperors at all. Jiang Chongkong poured 3 cups of tea for them. No need to be so restrained. Just do as you please. In the future, I will indeed be the Vice Alliance leader. Come find me if you need anything. Which ruins are we going to next? Northern Demon asked. Jiang Chongkong frowned. Digest what you gained this time. You're still too weak. It's best if you become Immortal Emperors as soon as possible. Sun Li sighed. I want to become Immortal Emperor too, but not only am I not close to it, but my foundation isn't enough either. It was simply too difficult to transform. Jiang Chongkong did not feel anything. His foundation was the strongest, so there was no difficulty at all. He completed the transformation directly. Immortal Emperor Realm? What a pity the Holy Land is still in the immortal world. Otherwise, you guys could go to the Holy Land to comprehend for a period of time. Jiang Chongkong pondered whether he should return to the Holy Land to take a look and improve the strength of his incarnation. As he improved, his comprehension of the Holy Land would definitely increase to the Immortal Emperor stage. The people from the Divine Court must have taken advantage of him. Jiang Chongkong told them to go back to their rooms to cultivate, but he was in no hurry to leave. On the other hand, the Demonic Emperor was quite busy. Although the underworld was under his control, the territory was too small. Moreover, there were some ghost race immortal emperors who were unwilling to be ruled and left the underworld on their own. For example, the heavenly ghosts and zombies had all left. The Demon Emperor did not stop them, even though both factions had peak immortal emperors. He didn't care about the peak of the Immortal Emperor realm. The Heaven realm had been reorganized, and he had become an immortal emperor. Flowerfruit Mountain had sent a few more immortal emperors over, and one of them was a peak immortal emperor. Right now, the Demon Emperor had to bring out the powerful evil ghosts of the underworld and let them live in the heavenly realm. He left this matter to Sun Yuan. As for the ghosts and zombies who had left, he would let them go and kick them out of the underworld. After making these arrangements, the Demon Emperor summoned Sun Wuxuan. Demon Emperor, what are your orders? Sun Wuxuan hugged a jar of fine wine and sat to the side without a care for his image. What has our Demon Master Kuan Yu done recently? Asked the Demon Emperor. That silly bird Kuan Yu has been acting mysteriously. He ran out with Feng Jiao. Sun Wuxuan waved his claws and chuckled. The Demon Emperor is the best. That Feng Jiao told him everything directly. So he went to become an immortal emperor. Become an immortal emperor? The Demon Emperor sighed. The Demon Emperor really trusts him. After several failures, he still wants him to become an immortal emperor. That silly bird is still trash, even if he becomes an immortal emperor, said Sun Wuxuan disdainfully. This time, the immortal emperor gave him news of a ruin that can allow one to become a Khanate being. Ruin? The Demon Emperor muttered. Sun Wuxuan was a little angry and said in a low voice, Demon Emperor, Old Ape heard some rumors that the Demon Emperor has many ruins in his hands. Some ruins are even helpful for peak immortal emperors. Immortal Emperor Wuxuan is moved, the demon emperor muttered. Then this emperor will go and beg the demon emperor. Demon emperor, old ape is not as bad as you think. Why can't you understand old ape's meaning? Sun Wuxuan scratched his ears and cheeks. He put the fine wine to the side and was a little angry. That demon emperor doesn't treat the demon emperor as his second brother at all. The demon emperor's expression was indifferent, and he was silent. Demon emperor. The demon emperor had a lot of ruins in his hands, but he doesn't give any to the demon emperor. He clearly doesn't treat the demon emperor as a true brother. Sun Wuxuan said angrily. He couldn't stand this. But he was just a member of the flower fruit mountain demon race, not the demon emperor. The demon emperor stood up and smiled. Immortal Emperor Wuxuan, don't be anxious. This emperor doesn't need these ruins. This emperor is thinking of another problem. What problem? Sun Wuxuan was startled. Chaos divine stones. The demon emperor said solemnly, some chaos divine stones are hidden in the ruins, but there might be chaos beasts inside. The demon emperor wants to find the ruins yourself and hunt chaos beasts? Sun Wuxuan narrowed his eyes. Yes. The demon emperor nodded and said, since the demon emperor doesn't want to give it to us, we will obtain it ourselves. Old ape will go find the chaos divine stones now. Rely on yourself. Sun Wuxuan stood up. The demon emperor ordered the other god kings to search as well. Firstly, to obtain information about the ruins. Secondly, to improve his divine body. Seeing that they were busy, the demon emperor stood up and left the heaven realm through the heavenly passage. He crossed the North Sea and arrived at the land ruled by the divine court. He wanted to see the current holy land. When he arrived at the land ruled by the divine court, the power of heaven was so dense that the demon emperor was slightly shocked. The power of heaven had already enveloped this place. This was much faster than the progress in the heavenly court. With a flash of light, two figures appeared at the same time. It was Ji Chang'an and a peak god emperor. Demon emperor, why have you come to the divine court? The peak god emperor cupped his hands. Ji Chang'an narrowed his eyes. He had been captured alive by the demon emperor before. Now that the demon emperor appeared alone, would he be able to sell him for a good price? The demon emperor said calmly, Heavenly God of Justice Jiang Changkong asked me to come and see the Holy Land. Ji Chang'an said, the Holy Land is fine. There is no need for the demon emperor to worry. The Holy Land belongs to the divine court now? The demon emperor sneered. Heavenly God of Justice agreed. The peak god emperor raised his hand slightly. Since the demon emperor asked me to come, I will accompany you. Thank you. The demon emperor stepped forward and came to the Holy Land with the peak god emperor. His incarnation was in the Holy Land, but it wasn't strong, far from the immortal emperor level. Everything was fine. The Tao Enlightenment Hall had also reached the immortal emperor level. There were many resources inside. The divine court sent many immortals over to study, but they weren't very strong. The immortal stones they left behind were useless to him now. Demon Emperor, why have you come? Chapter 691. The peak god emperor of God Court didn't believe that Monster Emperor was only here to take a look. And he came alone. Wasn't he afraid that God Court would take him down? The monster sovereign sighed softly. There is indeed another reason why I am here. You could say that I am here to deliver some information to the Celestial Court. Oh, what kind of information? Monster Court? The peak god emperor was interested. Heavenly Court, Monster Emperor said, Jiang Changkong sent a message to me. He went to a ruin. He told them about immortal Emperor Guang, Xian merging with a primal chaos beast. A peak god emperor was indeed shocked, sinking into deep thought. It was unknown what he was thinking about. Monster Emperor wants to work with God Court to deal with Heavenly Court? The peak god emperor thought for a moment before introducing himself. I am Chu Hong from God Court. Forget about Heavenly Court. I don't have that ability. I just want to work with God Court and send a message in the future. Monster Emperor said, for example, this time's news. God Court's news is faster and more accurate than Monster Emperor's. Chu Hong smiled. For example, Monster Emperor and Monster Monarch, who are brothers on the surface, are still not as good as Monster Master. They are indeed not as good as God Court now, but that might not be the case in the future. Monster Emperor frowned. For example, if Heavenly Court gets a divine artifact shard, we can inform each other about immortal spirits. Immortal spirits. Chu Hong's expression changed. We can inform each other about this. As for the rest, Monster Emperor can pay for it. Sure, Monster Emperor agreed. Also, I need some Chaos Divine Stones. Does God Court have them? I'm afraid Monster Emperor can't afford it, Chu Hong said arrogantly. Monster Emperor said, Monster Race Monster Master, is that enough? Chu Hong, who are you here to betray? First, you betray Heavenly Court's news, then you betray Monster Master. You already said that we are brothers on the surface. Monster Emperor said, I also need to plan for myself, right? I can tell you some news about the monster race. Where's Monster Master? Chu Hong asked. A ruin. I don't know the details. I only know that it can let people become immortal emperors. Monster Emperor believed that with this information, God Court would be able to find out what ruin it was. Chu Hong nodded. The demonic beast emperors who were brothers on the surface would definitely not tell the demonic beast monarch about the ruins. The news that they received was that the demon the Arch was just going through the motions and didn't really treat the demon sovereign as one of their own. As for the demon master, they didn't notice anything at all. All right, this information can be exchanged for a piece of Chaos Divine Stone, Chu Hong said. The demon emperor sneered. Adding up the historical remnant and the demon master, the gains are huge. Emperor God, Chu Hong, we must show sincerity in our cooperation. Fine, too, no more. Let's work together more in the future. Chu Hong told Ji Chang'an to go to the sky and fetch 2 primal chaos divine stones. The demon emperor and Chu Hong were waiting in the Holy Land. The Holy Land had become much stronger. Ordinary immortal emperors would also be affected if they came here. One day, he would create an eternal paradise. It didn't take long for the demonic beast emperor to return with the 2 primal chaos divine stones. Chu Hong also turned around and left. He was going to capture the demon court's demon master. Returning to the heaven realm's demon imperial palace, the demon emperor sized up the 2 chaos divine stones. One of them had that unique aura, while the other didn't. It was a very weak aura. If one hadn't seen it before, they wouldn't have been able to tell. Who was it that hid the relic in the Chaos Divine Stone? The spirit demon emperor frowned and fell into deep thought. Demon emperor, something bad has happened. Sun Wuxing sprinted over and panted heavily. The immortals and gods of the heavenly courts are attacking. Have you informed the demon emperor? The demon emperor asked. I've already informed them. However, the immortal gods of the immortal court have also arrived. The demon emperor is dealing with the immortal court and has no time to deal with the immortal gods of the heavenly court. Sun Wuxing hurriedly said, the heavenly court has sent hundreds of thousands of soldiers, 2 peak stage immortal emperors, 1 extreme stage immortal emperor. Immortal Emperor Wu Xian has already gone. You dare to offend the demon court with just this bit of strength. The monster sovereign snorted coldly and ordered, gather all the monster immortals and follow me to kill the heavenly court's immortals and gods. Yes. Sun Wuxing hurriedly gathered the demon immortals. The demon emperor stepped out of the demon imperial hall and entered the divine bridge. The heaven-devouring python pulled the carriage and left. Roar! The sky-devouring python roared. The divine ape drove the chariot and rushed into the sky. There were countless auspicious clouds in the sky. The immortals of the demon race were fighting with the immortals of the heavenly courts. The demon race was clearly weaker because the monster sovereign had not taken in many demons and their combat power was not strong. The evil ghosts and Azuras of the underworld had not arrived yet. The divine ape of Huagua Mountain, a few heaven-devouring pythons, Wang Shanhe, and other immortal kings were fighting with all their might. The corpses of the demon race and heavenly court's immortals kept falling. There were heavy casualties. In the sky, 2 figures were fighting, Sun Wuxuan and that extreme stage immortal emperor. The extreme stage immortal emperor's immortal artifact was not as good as Sun Wuxuan's. but it was still a peak 7th grade immortal artifact and could last for a few minutes. The two peak immortal emperors were suppressing the peak immortal emperor of Huagua Mountain. The demon race was at a great disadvantage. The pagoda of the pagoda bearing Heavenly King had already been repaired. The divine pagoda spun in a circle and absorbed hundreds and thousands of demons. The monster sovereign is here. The defeated demons cried out in surprise, and their battle intent increased by a lot. Monster sovereign? A cold voice sounded. An immortal emperor flipped his hand, and a giant hand covered the chariot in divine palanquin. The divine palanquin opened, and the chaos golden crow rushed out, its claws tearing the giant hand apart. The golden crow took human form, wearing a golden crow robe, and its peak immortal emperor aura shook thousands of miles. The divine clock appeared, and its suppressive power was vast. The heavenly court's immortals fell like dumplings. Boom! A terrifying palm arrived. A peak immortal emperor gave up on the monkeys of Huagua Mountain and slammed his palm towards the divine clock. The monster sovereign's eyes narrowed. The divine clock trembled, and chaotic divine light shot out, tearing the void. A golden ring flew out and strengthened the palm. Divine power tore the void, and chaotic energy spread out. The ring flew back, and the peak immortal emperor's body trembled slightly. The monster sovereign's expression sank, and there was a trace of anger in it. Heavenly Court, are you planning to decide victory and defeat with the demon race? It's just demarcation. The peak immortal emperor sneered. Why? Didn't the monster sovereign tell you? The heaven realm is reorganizing, so we naturally have to demarcate it. The monster sovereign really didn't say that this was his brother on the surface. The heaven realm was reorganizing, and the four factions all wanted to occupy more territory. They naturally had to divide their territories with strength. The first thing the heavenly court and immortal court thought of was the monster court, and they worked together to suppress the demon race's living space. Kill! The peak immortal emperor ordered. The ring activated its divine might and smashed towards the monster sovereign. Boom! Suddenly, the void was torn apart. A figure stepped out and punched the ring. The ring flew back. The peak immortal emperor's expression changed, and he shouted in shock and anger, Jiang Changkong, if I don't disrupt the heavenly court's matters, I will be letting down the heavenly Tao. Jiang Changkong spoke coldly. Behind him, Sun Li and the other two went down to help the demon race. Jiang Changkong, you are really courting death. The peak immortal emperor roared in anger, and the ring directly smashed over. You are the one courting death. The monster sovereign laughed coldly. When he joined forces with his main body, he was equivalent to two peak immortal emperors. Boom! Their attacks landed, and cracks actually appeared on the ring. The peak immortal emperor was injured on the spot. Jiang Changkong stepped out, and his fists smashed down again. The primal chaos laws pressed down. The primal chaos golden crow cried out, and the monster sovereign also displayed his primal chaos golden crow divine might. Chapter 692. Retreat, retreat. Angry roars resounded in the sky. The peak celestial emperor of heavenly court was defeated. That peak celestial emperor was also suppressed by Sun Wuxuan. The battle in the celestial world was still dominated by the strong. The power of one person could completely change fate. The demon emperor struck the divine bell. The bell rang, and the heavenly court's immortals were all injured. The monster race army started to counterattack, chasing after the hundreds of thousands of immortals. The heavenly book didn't show anyone's crime, nor did it show that killing was a crime. The heavenly Tao allowed for the boundaries to be drawn. Kill. Since the heavenly court wants to draw a boundary, then let's do it. The demon emperor ordered and rushed toward the peak celestial emperor. Demonic energy covered the sky, beating the heavenly court into a sorry state. Sun Wuxuan carried his metal staff and came before Jiang Changkong. The demon emperor didn't make a friend for nothing. You can be relied on at the crucial moment. Of course, count me in when dealing with the heavenly court. Jiang Changkong smiled and tore open the void, chasing after him. Sun Wuxuan flipped, and caught up to the peak Celestial Emperor. Rumble. The peak Celestial Emperor was heavily injured again. Jiang Changkong had already activated the chaotic golden body. The blood of the Celestial Emperor fell. The Khanate power smashed many immortals to death. The chaotic golden crow divine fire burned everything, including the peak Celestial Emperor. The other peak Celestial Emperor was entangled by the peak Celestial Emperor of Huagua Mountain. The Heavenly Court Celestial Emperor had already lost the will to fight. They had already lost this battle and could only retreat. However, Jiang Changkong and the Demon Emperor didn't intend to let them go so easily. The sharp claws grabbed the peak Celestial Emperor and stabbed into his body. The fist landed and almost pierced through his body. Boom! A terrifying divine might swept out, suppressing the void, locking Jiang Changkong and the demon's sovereign in place. Celestial Sovereign. The next moment, another terrifying divine power arrived. A divine ape image appeared and neutralized the divine power. Celestial Sovereign of Huagua Mountain. The two Celestial Sovereigns fought secretly. Jiang Changkong and the Demon Emperor fought again. The peak Celestial Emperor was defeated. The Chaos Bell image crushed down and tore apart his body. The sharp claws tore his flesh. The fist destroyed his life. The heavily injured peak Immortal Emperor looked like he was about to die. Enough! With an angry roar, a beam of divine light carried away the severely injured Immortal Emperor. 10,000 miles away, a golden barrier rose, separating the two sides. From today onwards, with this as a barrier, the Demon Court and the Heavenly Court will not interfere with each other. The divine voice resounded, and the immortals and gods of the Heavenly Court were also taken away by the divine light. Jiang Changkong tore open the void and left, returning to the divine planet. The Demon Emperor also left with his men, leaving the battlefield for the demon race to clean up. It ended just like that. The Demon Emperor frowned. He felt that the Heavenly Court had ended too quickly. The immortal sovereigns exchanged blows just now. They were just testing each other. The first boundary has appeared, Sun Wuxuan explained. We'll probably have to fight a few more rounds before the boundary will be drawn. Why didn't the immortal sovereigns draw the boundary? Even if we win, we won't be able to determine the boundary in the end. The Archfiend Emperor asked doubtfully. I'm not sure. You'll have to ask the Demon Arch about this. Sun Wuxuan didn't know much about the demarcation either. He took out 5 divine chaos stones and handed them over to the demonic monarch. The demon sovereign took a closer look. 2 of them contained the aura of the ruins, while the other 3 were ordinary primal divine stones. The demon emperor stood up and said, "Let's go to the ruins to find the chaos divine flame." Ruins? Sun Wuxuan was puzzled. The demon emperor explained, Jiang Changkong sent me a voice transmission that some ruins contain the chaos divine flame. When did this Jiang Changkong know about the ruins? Sun Wuxuan asked curiously. The demon emperor sighed. The Itinerant Cultivator Alliance. Other than the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance, he also told Sun Wuxuan about the ruins that the moon god had mentioned. Sun Wuxuan sneered. This demon, the Arch, wants to hide it from the demon emperor, but he doesn't know that Jiang Changkong already knows. The Itinerant Cultivator Alliance is also problematic. They don't have the Heavenly Tao fragment, but they know about the ruins, the demon emperor said indifferently. Although he guessed that the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance had something to do with immortal essences, he hadn't found any clues yet. The Heavenly Tao actually didn't like immortal essences, so his main body should have sensed it. However, the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance didn't sense it. None of them were immortal essences. He could only guess that it might be related to immortal essences. The 3 of them went to the divine planet and entered the ruins where the chaos divine flame was. There was nothing special about the ruins. Only the chaos divine flame had some value. In the gray chaos divine ruin, there was a small mountain hidden in the aura of chaos. A gray flame burned on the top of the mountain. The demon emperor burned the chaos divine stones and obtained information about the ruins. It was still that unique aura, and it was now recorded in immortal characters. Boom! The ruins suddenly shook, and celestial might shone. I'll go take a look. Sun Wuxuan rushed over. Jiang Changkong set up a divine power barrier and sealed it with a reincarnation disc. The Demon Emperor stayed here. After refining the 5 Chaos Divine Stones, although it wasn't enough for him to completely transform his Chaos Divine body, it could still strengthen him a little. At the entrance, celestial lights collided, and 3 figures fought Sun Wuxuan. Jiang Changkong flew over and said indifferently, "People from the celestial court?" The heavenly book appeared, and the 3 celestial emperors of the celestial court were all peak celestial emperors. So it's the heavenly justice god. I didn't expect you to really be with the monster race. A celestial emperor said coldly, "First the heavenly court, then the divine court, and now the monster court. Are you going to join our celestial court next?" "I will go to the celestial court, but I definitely won't join them." Jiang Changkong's expression was cold, and his divine power tore through the void. "I'll kill you first." "That's it. What are you talking about? Kill me first." Sun Wuxuan bared his teeth and smashed the ocean divine pillar. The 2 peak celestial emperors tried their best to block it. The peak 7th grade celestial artifact shook, and the powerful celestial power caused them to vomit blood. Jiang Changkong directly activated the Chaos Golden Body and heavily injured his opponent. "Go!" The 3 celestial emperors' expressions changed. They stopped fighting and turned to leave. "Where do you think you're going?" Sun Wuxuan shouted coldly. The metal rod smashed down, and the void collapsed as it pressed toward the 3 celestial emperors. Jiang Changkong's vast chaos divine power poured into the ocean divine pillar, making the metal rod even stronger. Boom! The celestial emperor's blood splattered, and the 3 celestial emperors were sent flying. The blood dyed the chaos golden. The demon emperor's side was almost the same. He had become a peak celestial emperor, and he only used the chaos divine stones to improve his quality. The demon emperor felt that his divine body was almost the limit of an early-stage celestial emperor. Ordinary low-grade, 7th-grade celestial artifacts would find it hard to break his defense. In his mind was the information he had just received. 2 of the 3 chaos divine stones were information about the ruins, and 1 was an incomplete celestial scripture. The ruins weren't far from the heaven realm, and there was also a teleportation array. After digesting the information, the battle between Sun Wuxuan and Sun Wuxuan came to an end. He didn't kill the 3 celestial emperors and let them escape. These fellows all had life-saving means. If they were early-stage celestial emperors, wouldn't be much, but peak celestial emperors were treasures to the various factions. Jiang Changkong wanted to rely on killing peak celestial emperors to obtain essence, energy, and spirit, but it probably wouldn't work in the celestial world. He still had to carry out his plan to get the primal chaos beasts to the heaven realm. It depended on whether there were any primal chaos beasts in the ruins. If there weren't, he would have to think of another way. Chapter 693. Sun Wuxuan was somewhat depressed and unhappy that the 3 immortal emperors had escaped. Jiang Changkong and the demon sovereign were equally depressed, but there was nothing they could do as they had the backing of the celestial reverend. Now that they had gotten the information about the relic, they didn't stay any longer and left. "There are 2 ruins, 1 for each of us," the demon emperor said calmly. "Okay," Jiang Changkong agreed. Only by acting separately could they maximize the benefits. If bringing the primal chaos beasts to the heaven realm was useful, then he would only need to deal with the primal chaos beasts in the future to improve quickly. Back at the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, Jiang Changkong instructed Sun Li and the other 2 to pay attention to the news of the Chaos Divine Stone. He tore apart the heavenly realm and entered the primal chaos. Jiang Changkong and the Demon Emperor went to the ruins together, but Sun Wuxuan didn't follow. Right now, the demarcation of the border had not been completely completed. A battle could break out at any time, and he, the strongest combat power, had to stay behind. As for the Demon Emperor, of course, it was more important. Sun Wuxuan agreed. If it wasn't for the fact that he knew that the Demon Emperor was already extremely powerful, he would have followed along to protect the Demon Emperor. On the other side, within the ruins, Feng Jiu was guarding the ruins. Beside her, there was another peak stage immortal emperor, Aoyin Yumie. Demon Masters had a very high status. Although they were a bit weak and inexperienced, they were still Demon Masters. The Demon Emperor personally ordered them to protect the Demon Master until he reached the immortal Emperor realm. Kuan Yu was soaking in a pool of primordial spirit liquid. This was a primordial spirit chi space. It was several times larger than the innate space he had found in the Golden Water River. The spiritual liquid pool could even accommodate one person sitting cross-legged. The spiritual liquid was extremely plentiful. Kuan Yu was already at the peak of the Immortal King realm and was just a step away from becoming an immortal emperor. With the help of the Demon Arch, he had already glimpsed the profoundness of the immortal emperor, and he only needed to complete the transformation. Apart from the Xiantian spiritual liquid here, there were also some materials given by the monster emperor, many of which were Xiantian spiritual herbs. If Kuan Yu still couldn't become an immortal emperor with this kind of support, then he would truly be trash. Actually, Kuan Yu was not a cripple. It was just that he had met the wrong person. In terms of strength, he could not find many opponents below the immortal emperor realm. It was just that he had encountered Jiang Changkong, the postnatal minor Pangu, who was trash at the same level as him. Not to mention him, even ancient immortal venerables like the Demon Arch would be beaten like dogs by Jiang Changkong in the same realm. Boom! The innate aura dispersed into the surroundings, and the innate divine pattern started evolving. Kuan Yu's transformation had begun. That's right, the innate divine inscription is already evolving. I wonder if it'll be completed in one go. A hint of fear flashed in Feng Jiu's eyes. His bloodline was definitely inferior to Kuan Yu's. It was just that he had become an immortal emperor first. If Kuan Yu completed his transformation, he probably wouldn't be Kuan Yu's match. A hint of joy flashed in Aoyin Yumie's eyes. Not every immortal emperor could directly manifest the innate divine runes. Being able to manifest innate divine runes meant that Kuan Yu's strength and potential were extremely high. Screech. The image of a Kuan Peng circled above Kuan Yu's head, letting out excited cries and releasing its connate aura. A dense demonic aura and the divine might of the Kuan Peng spread out. The Kuan Peng's bloodline is also recovering. The true number 1 speed will shock the entire heaven realm. Aoyin Yumie said excitedly. The monster race would have another great help. Boom! Suddenly, the ruins shook. The connate spirit chi became chaotic and terrifying divine might filled the entire space. Who is it? Aoyin Yumie's expression was cold as he shouted and transformed into the Aoyin true body. The sharp claws tore through the void. The peak immortal emperor might made the space tremble. Feng Jiu lowered her head and pondered. Should she run first? Kuan Yu came here to transform, and she told Sun Wuxuan that the monster race of Huagua Mountain had attacked. Boom! A monstrous divine might swept out, and Aoyin Yumie flew back. 2 peak god emperors stepped into the ruins. Demon Master Kuan Yu? Chu Hong looked at Kuan Yu in the spirit liquid in surprise, and then looked at the connate spirit liquid. Good stuff. It's enough for the divine court to have another god emperor. The demon emperor was too generous. Feng Jiu. Killing with a borrowed knife? Sun Wuxuan was still a loyal demon emperor. They didn't think that the divine court would suddenly find this place so coincidentally. How could 2 peak god emperors come at the same time coincidentally? Roar! Aoyin Yumie roared and charged over. He wanted to protect the demon master to complete his transformation. You dare to offend the demon court? Death! Angry roars resounded and demonic chi soared into the sky. Aoyin Yumie reappeared with the ferocious might of an ancient beast. It shook the ruins and faced the 2 god emperors. Chu Hong and Feng Jiu had mocking expressions. The peak 7th grade divine artifact was no weaker than Aoyin Yumie. The 2 joined forces and firmly suppressed the demon master. Boom! Aoyin Yumie flew back again. The immortal emperor's blood splattered, collapsing the space and cracking the earth. Kuan Yu, who was in the spirit liquid pool, was very anxious. He was afraid that Aoin Yumie couldn't hold on and he couldn't become an immortal emperor. Damn it. Why was he so unlucky to encounter two peak god emperors of the divine court? Could it be that someone betrayed him? However, only the three of them and the demon emperor knew this news. Feng Jiu had always supported him and had no reason to betray him. Aoin Yumie was also loyal to the demon emperor. Could it be a coincidence? Did the heavens want the demon master dead? Kuan Yu was filled with grief and indignation, but the transformation was still continuing. He didn't dare to move. If the breakthrough failed, he would be finished. Feng Jiu held the phoenix spear and looked majestic. However, her calves were trembling. That old monkey, why do you have to play so big? He just needed to inform them and cause some trouble. Were they planning to kill the demon master? It would be better to kill him with one palm. Demon master, don't worry. Even if I die, I won't retreat. Feng Jiu said solemnly. Kuan Yu was touched, even though he knew that Feng Jiu couldn't run even if she wanted to. Those were two peak celestial emperors. How could Feng Jiu run? She couldn't even take one palm. The ruins shook and space was torn apart. Chaotic energy surged into this space. Kuan Yu's aura became stronger and stronger. Innate divine might and innate divine patterns were evolving quickly. Aoin Yumie didn't fear death. He held them back and bought time for the demon master. Kuan Yu gradually calmed down. Aoin Yumie, good job. Peak celestial emperors were treasures to the demon race. They had celestial venerables and wouldn't die. Of course, the two celestial emperors definitely had them too. Time passed bit by bit. Because of Aoin Yumie's ferocity, it actually dragged on for an entire day. Kuan Yu's transformation finally took a big step forward. Celestial Emperor. Screech. Kuan Yu cried out excitedly. He had become an Celestial Emperor. His innate divine patterns were still evolving, and his innate divine might was still strengthening. He wasn't an ordinary trash Celestial Emperor. He had endless potential and wanted to directly evolve the complete innate divine patterns. There was still some spiritual liquid left in the spiritual liquid pool. It wasn't enough for him to transform, but it didn't matter. He still had many materials on him. Buzz. Suddenly, a vast divine pattern rose. Aoin Yumie was directly sent into the void crack and flew into the chaos. A peak celestial emperor suppressed immortal Emperor Feng Jiu with one palm and grabbed Kuan Yu with the other. A golden divine pagoda with countless divine patterns suppressed their demonic aura. Grade 8 demon subduing pagoda. Kuan Yu was stunned. Damn, you brought an immortal venerable divine artifact over? Weren't you bullying me? Why didn't you take it out before? Kuan Yu's transformation was interrupted. He was also thrown into the demon subduing pagoda. Divine power fluctuations covered the heavenly secrets. Feng Jiu was also imprisoned. As for Aoin Yumie, Chu Hong didn't plan to capture him alive. That wouldn't be worth it. If this guy risked his life and activated the Celestial Venerables technique, he might very well take Kuan Yu and the others away. After collecting the remaining innate spirit liquid, the two turned and left. An immortal Emperor Demon Master is obviously more valuable. Chu Hong looked at the two dumbfounded birds in the demon subduing pagoda. Feng Jiu was just incidental. An immortal Emperor Demon Master was the main point. As for the complete transformation, what a joke. They only wanted to capture an immortal Emperor Demon Master alive and let him complete the transformation. Wouldn't that increase the combat power of the demon race? Kuan Yu, you definitely came prepared. Demon Emperor, save me. I was captured alive by the God Court again. Chapter 694. Amidst the chaos, Jiang Changkong had already arrived at the teleportation array. Although he was not very clear about Kuan Yu's situation, he could guess Kuan Yu's fate. It was not a bad idea to keep this demon master alive, to ruin the reputation of the demon court and the demon arch. After killing him, the demon arch could be replaced with another demon master. This piece of trash was still more useful. Would the arch die from anger if he made the demon court bleed again? He stepped onto the teleportation array. It was still made of chaos divine stones. Suddenly, he had an idea. Should he dismantle this place? This house could definitely improve the Demon Emperor's divine body. Unfortunately, he did not have the Chaos Divine Fire. It would be very difficult to dismantle it, unless he used the reincarnation disc to slowly smash it. After activating the teleportation array, Jiang Changkong arrived at the ruins. There was a Chaos Divine Stone Mountain that was hundreds of feet tall. It was filled with huge caves. It was filled with gray chaos aura. He did not know how deep it was. He also arrived at the Demon Emperor's side. It was a palace. Jiang Changkong randomly found a cave and entered. The chaos aura was only helpful to him now. He turned into a wisp of chaos divine power and shuttled through the chaos aura. There were many chaos divine stones scattered in the cave. Jiang Changkong collected them all. Roar. A strange roar suddenly sounded. A red fruit tree burning with scarlet flames appeared in front of him. The fruit tree was only 3 feet tall. There were 3 phoenix-like fruits hanging on it. They looked like 3 fire phoenixes. Jiang Changkong smiled faintly. Was it the same method as last time? He arrived in front of the fruit tree. There was no danger or change. The fruit tree was illusory. There was an identical fruit tree growing in front of him. That roar just now. Jiang Changkong pondered for a moment and quickly rushed over. Roar. The strange roar sounded again. An ape with a violent aura and chaos and immortal light appeared in front of him. Test subject. Jiang Changkong was slightly shocked. This was also an ancient immortal god's test subject. The ape pounced at Jiang Changkong. Its claws glowed with chaos light. Its strength was at the mid-stage immortal emperor level. A wisp of chaos divine power flew out. The ape fell and was suppressed by the chaos divine power. It's good to be an experimental subject. If I can bring it back to the heaven realm, I can try it out. Jiang Changkong condensed the ape into a bead and held it in his hand. He brought it back to the heavenly realm to experiment. As he advanced, the roar sounded again. Jiang Changkong saw a corpse. It was the corpse of an immortal. A divine wolf was chewing on its prey. God Wolf was a late-stage immortal emperor. Jiang Changkong suppressed the immortal emperor's corpse again. It should have been taken away by someone, but he had no idea who it was. The deeper he went, the stronger these creatures became. He suppressed quite a few of them, and they were already at the peak of the late immortal emperor stage. He also saw many corpses, and they were all corpses of immortal emperors. Roar. The roar sounded again, and Jiang Changkong's expression turned serious. Peak of the immortal emperor stage. From the roar, he could sense some strength. It was a phoenix, its entire body emitting blazing flames. Even the surrounding chaos godstones were showing signs of softening. The chaotic energy contained a terrifyingly high temperature. Roar. The phoenix roared, and there were actually sharp teeth in its mouth that were suffused with a cold light. Its sharp claws were like blades, tearing apart the chaotic energy as it pounced over. Jiang Changkong's gaze shifted to the back of the phoenix. The miraculous fruit tree was right there. It was a real fruit tree, not an illusion. An immortal emperor's corpse was lying on the ground, face down. Boom! In their first clash, Jiang Changkong and the phoenix retreated at the same time. This phoenix has such a strong physique. Jiang Changkong was surprised. He did not know whether it was a fire phoenix or a fire phoenix. It was hard to tell the gender. The phoenix's body was even stronger than his connate chaotic Tao body. Together with the chaotic divine power and the phoenix's power, it was even stronger than him. Chaotic golden body activated. Jiang Changkong fought with the phoenix again. His palms collided with the phoenix's sharp claws, and for a moment, his hands went numb. The phoenix retreated a few steps, its claws trembling. The phoenix did not know fear or how difficult it was to deal with. It pounced ferociously again. Its tyrannical aura and chaotic killing intent made it only have killing intent in its mind. Clang! In the passage, fists, palms, and claws constantly clashed. Feathers flew and flames scattered. Jiang Changkong directly grabbed the phoenix's claws and tore them hard, wanting to tear them in half. Its sharp fangs opened and bit at Jiang Changkong. Its three eyes opened at the same time, and chaotic divine light shot out and blasted into the phoenix's mouth. Boom! The phoenix flew out and hit the chaotic divine stone wall, blood flowing everywhere. The reincarnation plate appeared and directly suppressed the heavily injured phoenix, compressing it into a divine power ball. The phoenix wanted to struggle, but could not shake the divine power of the reincarnation plate and was firmly suppressed. Only then did Jiang Changkong step toward the fruit tree. The three fruits on it were lifelike, like real phoenixes. There was a huge hole on the back of the immortal emperor's corpse, and there were bite marks. It should have been eaten by the phoenix. Turning the corpse over, a familiar face shook Jiang Changkong's mind. Guhan's Han, the itinerant cultivator deputy alliance leader. How could it be him? Jiang Changkong could not hide the shock on his face. Guhan's Han was clearly still in the itinerant cultivators alliance. Could it be that he had another shortcut, came here first and died here? Guhan's Han had nothing on him. His space equipment had been taken away, and his celestial artifact was also gone. Looking at the fruit tree, Jiang Changkong first touched it with the reincarnation plate, but nothing happened. The fruit tree did not seem to be dangerous. Jiang Changkong reached out to pull the fruit tree, but found that he could not pull it at all. The three fruits were easily plucked. They contained abundant blood qi and the shadow of the phoenix. Jiang Changkong thought about it, and also put away Gu Hanshan's corpse. He wanted to go back and take a look. However, before that, he should go to the other caves first. As for the other caves, Jiang Changkong entered and found the same thing. They were all guided by the shadow of the fruit tree. However, there are no fruits on the fruit tree now. Here, there is no research information left. Jiang Changkong was a little puzzled. Other than some experimental beasts and a fruit tree, there was no other information. He suppressed 8 immortal emperor experimental beasts. If he could, that would be 800,000 essence, enough for him to enter the late stage. He teleported back to the teleportation hut. The demon emperor had caught some chaos beasts, but not many. After returning to the heaven realm, he did not rush to the itinerant cultivators alliance. Instead, he found a ruin and took out a beast. Mutated creature, chaos beast, death penalty. Reward, 1 million heavens power. It was indeed useful. However, that phoenix was not a mutated creature, but a chaos beast. Was the heavenly Tao incomplete? This was obviously a loophole, and he could use it to obtain heaven's power. Without hesitation, Jiang Changkong killed one and obtained 1 million heavens power, transforming it into 100,000 essence, qi, and spirit. Soon, the 8 mutated creatures and chaos beasts were all killed. Jiang Changkong's essence, qi, and spirit reached more than 2 million. After improving the 7 revolutions mystic art and entering the late stage, Jiang Changkong should not be afraid of those immortal emperors anymore. He should be able to find Lin Xianshan and discuss about changing the alliance leader. With the support of the heavenly Tao fragment, Jiang Changkong quickly completed his transformation. The god power in his body was condensed, its quality and quantity increased. Vast and boundless god power, the innate god pattern was also stronger. The essence of the laws, his god power surged unceasingly. Over at the demon emperor's side, there was a problem. Chapter 695. The entrance to the ruins where the demonic sovereign resided was a palace. Apart from him, there were also people from the heavenly court, immortal court, and monster court. This was only known after entering the ruins, as the demon the Arch had already sent people over. In a narrow space, 3 peak immortal emperors were facing off against each other. The demon emperor's arrival had broken the balance. The peak stage immortal emperor of the demon court was a heaven-devouring python. When he saw the demon's sovereign arriving, not only did he not feel happy, his gaze turned gloomy instead. Most of the heaven-devouring python lineage were still loyal to the demon emperor. Demon race's demon emperor, Dongwang Changyue. The peak immortal emperor of the immortal court stared at the demon emperor. The celestial emperor of the heavenly court looked gloomy and didn't say a word. I obtained a piece of primal chaos divine stone by chance and learned that there are ruins here. That's why I rushed here. The demonic beast emperor said calmly, "Now it seems that all of you are in trouble." In the narrow space, there was only a pitch-black tunnel that led to an unknown destination. "You don't have to worry, demon monarch," the heavenly court's immortal emperor said coldly and unconsciously moved closer to the immortal court's immortal emperor. No matter how bad the demon sovereign and the demon arch were, they were still members of the demon court. They would most likely stand on the side of the heaven-swallowing python. As expected, the demon emperor walked towards the heaven-devouring python and said, "Since you are in a difficult position, then give me the relic." The heaven-devouring python narrowed his eyes and looked at the two of them. "The two of you, the demon emperor is here. Are you still not going to give up?" "I was just about to experience the strength of a demon sovereign." The immortal emperor of the heavenly court snorted coldly as a long saber appeared in his hand. The spear in the hands of the immortal court's immortal emperor emitted a connate aura. "Then we'll have to rely on our own strength." "That's what I was thinking." The demon emperor was indifferent, but he changed the topic. "However, before we make our move, shouldn't we take a look at what's inside?" The three-peak immortal emperors pondered for a moment and nodded. It would be hilarious if they ended up fighting to the death for nothing. The four-peak immortal emperors entered the pitch-black tunnel at the same time. They split up in pairs to prevent themselves from attacking. In the dark tunnel, a beam of light suddenly appeared and flew towards them. The four of them acted at the same time. Divine power intercepted the light, but it turned out to be a fragment of golden armor. "This is a fragment of grade 7 immortal armor?" The immortal emperor of the heavenly court was slightly shocked. The four of them increased their speed and flew forward. Another beam of light flew over. This time, it was a weapon fragment. All of them were immortal emperors. A jade token flew over and was grabbed by the immortal emperor of the heavenly court. He said grimly, "This is the identity jade token of an immortal emperor of the heavenly court." He entered the chaos to hunt down the rogue immortal emperors. The heaven-swallowing python said sinisterly, "Now it seems that he has already fallen." The heavenly court's immortal emperor didn't say anything and continued forward. The passageway was very long. Even a peak immortal emperor had to spend an hour to pass through it. Suddenly, a suction force came from the front, and the four immortal emperors hurriedly circulated their god force to resist the suction force. Light flashed in front of them, black and white. Yin and yang qi circulated and pressed down on them. The divine power of the four of them surged, shattering the black and white energies as they retreated. The passage behind them had disappeared, and they appeared in a black and white world. The yin and yang energies continued to erode their divine power. Mysterious runes appeared and sealed off the area. The surroundings were filled with black and white qi, with no end in sight. Rays of light constantly flew over from the front. They were all grade 7 immortal armors and immortal equipment fragments. Occasionally, there would be some corpse fragments. Bang! The demon sovereign slammed his palm against the yin and yang qi and was forced to retreat. The heaven-swallowing python and the others also shattered the yin and yang qi and retreated. The power here was no weaker than them. What kind of ruin is this? The heaven-swallowing python's eyes flashed. He couldn't care less about fighting now. Boom! A yin and yang energy descended as the demon sovereign revealed his golden crow body. The chaotic golden crow flames burned and clashed with the yin and yang qi. The immortal court and heavenly court's immortal emperors didn't say anything. They didn't know what kind of ruin this was. "I will make a move first." The heavenly court's immortal emperor directly left and headed towards the place where the immortal equipment fragments flew out. The immortal court's immortal emperor and the heaven-swallowing python hurriedly followed. They didn't want their good stuff to be taken by others. Moreover, the passageway had disappeared, so there was nothing they could do about it. The demon sovereign pondered for a moment. He wasn't sure if he should let his main body come over. Now that his main body had successfully broken through, he could totally suppress these three-peak immortal emperors. It would be difficult for him to fight one against three alone. After sending the message, he followed. Roar! Suddenly, A roar came from within the yin and yang qi. A ferocious beast with a violent aura pounced over. The heaven-swallowing python and the other two were nowhere to be seen. The demon sovereign's gaze turned serious. The moment the beast appeared, he felt an unusual aura. Samsara aura. Right behind the yin and yang qi. He slapped out and forced the beast back. A divine bell image appeared above the demon sovereign's head. Dang! The ancient bell reverberated. The yin and yang qi in the surroundings shook and cracks appeared. The samsara aura became thicker and thicker. The beast roared, and under its sharp fangs, there was still some flesh and blood. The demon sovereign lifted his palm, and God force pressed down, suppressing the beast. This was an intermediate stage, immortal emperor beast. The chaos bell shook once more, and a crack appeared. The demon sovereign turned into a beam of light and entered. Thick samsara power swept over and instantly wrapped the demon sovereign within. A majestic blood-yellow river flowed and restricted his body. A corrosive power appeared. River of forgetfulness. Many skeletons struggled in the river and pounced over. The demon sovereign cast aside all distracting thoughts, closed his eyes, and walked on the river. As for those skeletons, they kept roaring, but they didn't dare to get close to the demon sovereign, as if they were extremely afraid. Half an hour later, the demon sovereign stood at the shore and turned back. Those skeletons were still struggling. These skeletons weren't illusions, but real. The weakest was an immortal king. Some of them didn't just belong to chaos beasts, but something else. Many huge stone tablets and many huge containers appeared in front of the demon sovereign. On the stone tablets, some information was recorded. Another ancient immortal god's experimental ground. If I can't make Pangu, then I won't. The demon sovereign sighed. After messing around so much, he didn't even know if they would succeed in the end. He had leveled up, and it wasn't because of their research. The information recorded on the stone tablets was about the research of the ancient immortal gods. As for the skeletons in the river of forgetfulness, some of them were failed experiments. Once the research failed, they would be thrown into the river of forgetfulness and buried forever. The river of time has been separated into a tributary. Hidden information is surging in the chaos. The demon sovereign's gaze froze. River of time? A tributary? Hidden information? Why did such a sentence suddenly appear? Was it related to research? Or was it just randomly left behind? In those containers, there were many creation beasts that didn't come to life. There seemed to be only one beast that attacked him, and there wasn't a second one. He continued to look at the stone tablets. The route we took to leave? Damn. The demon sovereign nearly smashed the stone tablet. The route they took to leave had been erased. Combined with the previous sentence, could it be a tributary hidden in the river of time? The yin-yang dual qi bottle guards the research ground and uses the yin-yang dual qi to evolve creation beasts. The demon sovereign looked at the other stone tablets, and the yin-yang dual qi appeared in his mind. They entered the yin-yang dual qi bottle. The yin-yang dual qi bottle was the treasure of the Golden Rock. They didn't take it with them when they left. Chapter 696. Monster Emperor was confused. He raised his head and could only see the pitch-black sky. The yin-yang twin qi bottle was guarding the entrance. Ancient immortals used yin and yang to create living beings. However, shouldn't that person be called over for the creator's job? He had almost finished reading the contents on the stone tablet. The method to keep the yin-yang twin qi bottle was also recorded on it. If he wanted to leave, apart from keeping the yin-yang twin qi bottle, he needed someone to receive him from the outside, just like how he did before. Otherwise, only celestial sovereigns could forcefully leave. Monster Emperor started to wander around. There was no danger here, so he just had to wait patiently. If his main body came over, he could definitely receive him and leave. A few hours later, Monster Emperor suddenly stopped and looked towards the river of forgetfulness. The skeletons actually stopped struggling. As if they knew they could not get up, they started to sink into the river. Roar! A roar suddenly sounded out. The river water surged, and the entire experimental ground shook. The stone tablet shook and collapsed. The container cracked, and the creation inside started to crack. black and white energies appeared in the sky. Monster Emperor frowned. His main body had not come over yet. It should be related to the three immortal emperors. The roar sounded out again. The pitch-black sky shook, and yin and yang energies appeared. Suddenly, chaotic divine power spread out. Chaos beasts. There were chaos beasts sealed here too? Monster Emperor fell silent. With his main body speed, it would take some time for him to come over. Should he go out and take a look? The divine bell appeared, and Monster Emperor flew towards the yin and yang energies. Within the yin and yang energies, a terrifying power disrupted the world of black and white. Heaven-devouring python and immortal court immortal emperor flew out at the same time. Their bodies were full of cracks as they looked forward in fear. A huge figure appeared. It was the peak immortal emperor of heavenly court. At this moment, his divine power wrapped around his legs and fused into his body. The two legs of the chaos beasts. Endless chaotic energy entered his body and changed his divine power and body. The roar came from his mouth. Two golden feathers appeared above his head, suppressing the two beast legs. Divine might and divine power rose continuously, allowing him to reach the limit of immortal emperor. Are the people of heavenly court going to become monsters? Heaven-devouring python's body healed and looked coldly at the peak immortal emperor of heavenly court. The peak immortal court immortal emperor had a cold expression. You stole the research results of the ancient immortal gods. Steal? The heavenly court's immortal emperor sneered and said proudly, "This is not stealing, but obtaining the inheritance and making use of the treasures left behind by the ancient immortal gods." The ancient immortals didn't create things to turn immortals into disgusting creatures that are neither human nor ghost. The demon emperor walked over, the sound of the bell reverberating. His expression was cold. Isn't the heavenly court afraid of being attacked by everyone? The immortal court's immortal emperor gripped his divine saber tightly with a solemn expression. With the addition of two beast legs, this peak immortal emperor of the heavenly court had already reached the limits of an immortal emperor, or even surpassed it. A primal chaos, ferocious beast could create a peak immortal emperor with one hand. Two legs was even more terrifying. However, this was not enough for him to surpass the immortal emperor stage and become an immortal reverent. Moreover, in order to become an immortal venerable, it was not enough to just have power. One had to comprehend it themselves. It could only be said that this immortal emperor had boundless strength and wasn't afraid of exhaustion. The transformation was still ongoing. The heavenly court's immortal emperor had yet to fully grasp the power of the primordial beast legs. However, the demon emperor and the others were attacked by the yin and yang energy once again, causing them to collapse. The divine bell enlarged and enveloped the two immortal emperors. I will block the yin and yang energy for you. Attack immediately. Once he fully grasps it, it will be troublesome. Roar. The heaven-devouring python roared. At this moment, there was no difference between demon emperor and demon emperor. The immortal court's immortal emperor also activated all his immortal power. The divine spear shook the space of yin and yang energy as it slashed towards the heavenly court's immortal emperor. You guys are really stupid. The heavenly court's immortal emperor smiled in disdain. The immortal saber in his hand swallowed the ferocious might of the primordial chaos. The chaotic spatial laws, under the enhancement of divine power, the immortal saber swallowed the ferocious might, and the saber radiance enveloped the three of them. The peerless saber radiance and peak immortal emperor divine might tore apart the yin and yang energy, revealing the research area below. However, they couldn't avoid their attacks there. Roar. Some ferocious beast suddenly charged out from the yin and yang energy. No matter who it was, they all pounced on them. Boom! Wherever the saber radiance passed, the ferocious beasts were directly turned into ashes. The two peak immortal emperors were sent flying as they coughed out blood. The divine bell's shadow shook and almost dissipated. The demon emperor was forced to retreat and was almost injured. Not only did he have to protect them, but he also had to defend against the yin and yang energy. The saber radiance also affected him. You guys are too weak. The Heavenly Court's immortal emperor's boundless divine power and dense chaotic power were replacing his celestial power, making him even stronger. The ancient celestial gods left behind such great power and boundless treasures. If I don't know how to use them, wouldn't I be letting them down? The Immortal Court's immortal emperor swallowed a pill to recover his divine power and said coldly, "This kind of external help will definitely affect you. In the end, did you borrow the power, or did the power assimilate you? Of course, it's because I have control over the power." The Heavenly Court's immortal emperor said proudly. The immortal saber vibrated, and a towering saber radiance split the black and white space, enveloping the three of them. "Be careful!" The demon emperor shouted, and the divine bell shadow rang, shattering the black and white energy attacking them. The two peak immortal emperors attacked again. Celestial light shone brightly, and divine runes filled the sky. With a loud explosion, the three of them were sent flying. The immortal emperor's blood splattered, and a crack appeared on the demon emperor's chaotic golden crow divine body. I dare to do this, because the ancient celestial gods have already solved this problem. The Heavenly Court's immortal emperor's divine power was like an ocean. Wherever the chaotic divine power passed, the yin and yang energy were quickly destroyed. He had so much power that he had nowhere to vent it. The terrifying power in his body urgently needed to be vented, and the way to vent it was the three in front of him. His two beast legs were really too full for him. "Don't you have any celestial venerable treasures?" The demon emperor looked at the two immortal emperors. The heaven-devouring python hissed and shook its giant head. They really didn't have any. "Does a life-saving measure count?" The Immortal Court's immortal emperor said softly. "Demon emperor, you all have celestial venerable life-saving measures, but I don't." "What do you mean by this? Are you not going to struggle anymore? Are you going to be pushed to the brink of death? Are you going to escape with the help of an immortal venerable?" The immortal saber shone, and the demon emperor's expression was anxious. He really wanted to kick the two of them out to die, but he couldn't. Could it be that he had to create a secondary body? The chaotic beast that he was suppressing would also be chopped to death. He had suffered a huge loss this time. His main body was already rushing over. It would take a while. Kill. Waiting for death is not in this emperor's character. The demon emperor shouted coldly. The golden crow body swallowed and spat out flames. The divine bell phantom shattered the black and white chi and charged towards the Heavenly Court's immortal emperor. The heaven-devouring python and the Immortal Court's immortal emperor moved at the same time. The heaven-devouring power, the immortal emperor divine spear, and the might of an exalted immortal broke through their limits. They didn't want to waste a life-saving measure. Celestial venerables weren't their babysitters. The three-peak immortal emperors surrounded the Heavenly Court's immortal emperor. However, he, who had fused with two beast legs, was no longer an ordinary immortal emperor. Rumble. Terrifying power exploded. His divine power was like a raging river, spreading out and tearing the black and white chi apart. The divine bell phantom dissipated, and the immortal emperor's spear flew out of his hands. He forcefully used the heaven-devouring power, and his saber chi almost split the heaven-devouring python in half. Chapter 697. The immortal emperor of the Heavenly Court wantonly squandered the power that came easily. Faintly surpassing the limits of an immortal emperor made him almost invincible. Yin and yang shattered, black and white reversed, and the might to change the heavens and earth. The power of primal chaos rampaged, and even the golden crow and the bell of primal chaos could not withstand its divine might. The three-peak stage immortal emperors stabilized themselves, and their expressions were unprecedentedly heavy. The methods of the Heavenly Court were truly beyond everyone's expectations. The demon emperor paid attention to the Immortal Court's immortal emperor. His expression didn't change, and he didn't try to harm them. The divine spear spun, immortal power poured into it, and the power of an exalted immortal illuminated the black and white space. Boom! A scarlet flame appeared, and the three's expressions changed. Even the heavenly court's immortal emperor's expression changed. The crimson flames were terrifyingly hot. Even the demon emperor's chaos divine body showed signs of softening. Flames shot out from the yin and yang qi, enveloping every corner. The shadow of the bell of chaos condensed again, but it could not completely isolate the temperature of the flames. The divine spear of the immortal court's immortal emperor trembled. His move was disrupted by the flames. The yin-yang dual qi bottle was rumored to be able to summon divine flames if one spoke within it. The power of the heavenly court's immortal emperor tore apart the black and white energies, shattered the yin and yang energies, and alarmed the yin and yang energies bottle. The chaos beast's leg released its divine power as the projection of the chaos nomological laws appeared, suppressing the flames and isolating the high temperatures. What a disappointment. It's over. The appearance of the flame made the heavenly court's immortal emperor lose his patience. It's still too early to end this. The heaven-devouring python let out a low roar, and its divine body expanded. Its body was tens of thousands of feet long, and its mouth was like the sky. It was actually not afraid of the burning flames, and it forcefully used the heaven-devouring divine ability. The immortal court's immortal emperor didn't back down either. His divine spear slashed through the black and white qi, separating the black and white heaven and earth. The demon emperor transformed into a great sun and controlled the chaos bell to surround them. The saber light was mixed with primal chaos divine energy. Tyrannical, destructive, and spatial powers gathered at this moment. Boom! A burst of fireworks, a dazzling divine light, and a gray, mysterious primal chaos bloomed at this moment. The blade radiance tore apart his body, shattered the divine bell, and pierced through the sun. The divine spear flew out of his hand. The immortal armor on his body cracked, and there were countless blade marks. The saber qi pierced through the python's body, leaving a huge wound that started from the python's mouth and extended all the way to its abdomen. The heavenly court's celestial emperor's body trembled slightly. A hint of violence flashed in his eyes, and his ferocious aura became stronger and stronger. The three immortal emperors tumbled in the black and white energy, falling into the crack and into the experimental site. Thump! The river surged as countless skeletons pounced over in a frenzy. They wanted to devour them and drag them to the bottom of the river. The demon emperor and the other two quickly sank down. The skeletons pounced on them, but they couldn't bite a single piece of flesh, and a single drop of blood was enough to shatter them. Vicious might surged. The imperial court's immortal emperor also came, floating above the yellow blood river. A pair of beast legs released hazy primal chaos. The river of forgetfulness was also suppressed by him, unable to drag him down. The golden feather on top of his head shone with divine light, allowing him to not be affected by the river. Do you think this place can protect you? His cold smile was filled with contempt and sarcasm. The Celestial Arch had studied the research site for countless years, so how could they compare to it? The river was parting, the skeletons were collapsing one by one, and the Celestial Emperor of the Celestial Court slowly descended. The skeletons on the bodies of the three demon emperors disappeared and turned into ashes. After taking the pill, his injuries healed quickly. His main body was about to arrive, and he only needed one more move. The saber light flashed again, and space cracked. Flames flew out from the cracks in space. Are the two of you waiting to die so early? The demon emperor stood up, his expression indifferent. Even if you have life-saving methods and escape, you will need to pay a huge price to recover, right? Not only would it require a huge price, but it might also disappoint those immortal sovereigns, the beast emperors and the celestial court's celestial arch. Don't talk nonsense. This emperor will not let him have it easy, the celestial court's immortal emperor said coldly. Unfortunately, the divine spear was no longer here, so he could only rely on a pair of immortal palms. Peak Celestial Emperor is indeed powerful. The heaven-devouring python's injuries barely healed, and his gaze was cold. Forcefully swallowing the sky had caused his injuries to be very serious. The Celestial Court's Celestial Emperor had a proud expression as he looked down at them. It's already not bad that you can last until now. This emperor is not someone an ordinary peak Celestial Emperor can compare to. The saber light fell with the power to destroy heaven and earth, a saber that could destroy a divine planet. His strength was indeed not something an ordinary peak Celestial Emperor could compare to, and he was only slightly weaker than Sun Wuxuan. If he had a divine artifact, he might be able to fight against Sun Wuxuan. The Demon Emperor regretted bringing Sun Wuxuan next time. He couldn't always let his main body save him. The fragment of the Bell of Chaos, the demon monarch who had transformed into a sun, the heaven-devouring python who had manifested its true form, and the immortal emperor who was at the peak of the immortal court. The combined attack tore through the divine flames that appeared in the void and rushed toward the blade light. The three of them did not hold back, nor did they dare to hold back. Holding back at this time would only lead to death. There were no terrifying fireworks like before. It was completely silent and deathly silent. Half of the Fiend Monarch's body tumbled down. The Fiend Monarch's primal chaos body had suffered the greatest damage in its history. The heaven-devouring python had been broken into 3 pieces, and the spatial divine power remained in its wounds, making it impossible for it to heal. The Immortal Court's immortal emperor was also sliced into 2, and he was in a miserable state just like the Demon Emperor. The blood of an immortal emperor dyed the river of forgetfulness golden. You guys are really tenacious. The immortal emperor of the heavenly courts sighed with a hint of shock in his eyes. If it was him, he would have already used an immortal venerable method to escape. If this place wasn't special, would you be able to keep us here? The heaven-devouring python said fiercely. They couldn't even escape from the world of the yin-yang twin chi bottle. Although the Demon Emperor had seen the method to collect the yin-yang twin chi bottle, it was suppressed here, and he could only collect it after finding the core restriction. Otherwise, he would have used the yin-yang twin chi bottle to fight with this person in front of him, and he wouldn't have been so miserable. The immortal emperor of the heavenly courts suddenly glared at the Demon Emperor. It's all your bullsh** T ideas. When we were outside, we should have killed this guy first. The Demon Emperor. At that time, the 2 of you were in cahoots. Strictly speaking, you were the one who helped him. Enough bullsh** T. I'll send you off. The blade light rose again, and the violent aura in the immortal emperor's eyes dissipated. This also made him heave a sigh of relief. If he used too much force with his beast legs, it would still affect him. Boom! The void cracked, and a disc smashed down. The immortal emperor's expression changed, and he turned his blade to meet the disc. Dang! Boom! Terrifying divine might clashed, and the disc released reincarnation power. The reincarnation power of the battlefield was used to strengthen the disc. The immortal emperor was sent flying, and he fell into the river of forgetfulness. His hand was torn, and the feathers on his head shook violently. Reincarnation disc, Jiang Changkong. A furious roar resounded, and the river surged. The immortal emperor of the heavenly courts charged out, and his expression was ferocious. Demon Emperor, you are still inferior to me. Jiang Changkong smiled, and he looked at the Demon Emperor, who was split in half. The Demon Emperor said coldly, "What a joke. You only have a complete Saint artifact. Be careful, it might be stolen. This piece of trash can't do it." Jiang Changkong said in disdain. The reincarnation disc released divine might, and in his hands, it was like a brick smashing towards the immortal emperor of the heavenly courts. The 3 of them took the chance to recover, and they expelled the spatial power. The immortal emperor's body flashed, and he was prepared to travel through the void. Chapter 698. The reincarnation disc suppressed the void. The power of the sage artifact sealed the space and forced back the divine fire. The divine banner appeared, and a terrifying aura was brewing. The celestial emperor of the heavenly court didn't use the law of space to travel through the void because he didn't need to. However, against Jiang Changkong, he couldn't use it even if he wanted to. Although the sage artifact couldn't use its full power, it could prevent him from merging into the void. The figure holding the divine banner in his hand surged with primal chaos divine power as he activated his primal chaos golden body again. The shadow of the divine banner descended with a supreme power that seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth. The celestial emperor of the heavenly court could only block it. The blade light rose again, and the feather stabbed into the beast's leg. Roar! The beast roared, and the chaotic beast phantom appeared again. It was still the phantom of the law of space. Boom! The chaotic beast phantom roared and rolled out, dimming a little. The blade light was destroyed, and the celestial emperor of the heavenly court was suppressed. What goes around comes around. You're so arrogant. The celestial emperor of the heavenly court was very satisfied. The arrogant met the more arrogant. The divine banner smashed down one after another. It wasn't weaker than any grade 7 immortal artifact. In addition, the golden rock had obtained a piece of cloth. Even if the divine banner didn't reach grade 8, it wasn't far from it. The celestial emperor's immortal artifact blade cracked and bust. The immortal emperor's blood splattered, and the beast phantom became weaker and weaker. The reincarnation disc suppression suddenly strengthened. It turned out that the monster emperor and the other celestial emperors had recovered and were supporting the reincarnation disc. The monster emperor was his secondary body. With him guiding it, there was naturally no problem. Moreover, the monster emperor had awakened the underworld heavenly Tao. No one would doubt that he could control the reincarnation disc. Boom! It smashed down again. The celestial emperor rolled out, and the beast phantom completely dissipated. The violent aura on its body became stronger and stronger. Its influence on him deepened. The so-called method to stop the assimilation was simply nonsense. Unless his strength far exceeded the 2 beast legs, he wouldn't be affected. The golden feather could only help him control it temporarily. Clang! The Chaos Bell Phantom also came. 2 figures and 2 sage artifact fragments smashed down at the same time. Blood splattered. The celestial emperor's body cracked, and the beast leg was about to leave his body. It was about to explode. Damn it, Jiang Changkong. The heavenly court will definitely not let you off. The celestial emperor of the heavenly court roared in anger. The matter of the heavenly court had been ruined twice. As his roar stopped, a terrifying aura came over. Jiang Changkong was prepared for it and quickly retreated. The aura of an immortal, venerable tore through the void and left this place. Jiang Changkong put away the wheel of reincarnation and the broken pieces of the banner. Demon Emperor, you're really too weak. I dealt with the ruins and rushed over to save you. Give me the reincarnation plate, and I can save you. The Demon Emperor snorted coldly and circulated his god power to heal his injuries. The heaven-devouring python and the immortal court's immortal emperor climbed out of the river of forgetfulness. I will report the matter of the heavenly court to the Demon Emperor, said the heaven-devouring python. The immortal court immortal emperor cupped his fists and said, Demon sovereign Jiang Changkong, the immortal court has pardoned the heavenly world. Feel free to visit me in the future. I will be grateful if the immortal court doesn't chase after me. Jiang Changkong said calmly. Of course not. Speaking of which, you only have a huge grudge with the heavenly court. You don't have such a huge grudge with the immortal court. Xia Tianshi said. Jiang Changkong nodded his head and said, Do you know about the celestial spirit? The celestial spirit was hiding in the immortal court and has been cleaned up by the heavenly emperor. Xia Tianshi said. Let's think of a way to leave this place. Jiang Changkong, how did you get here? The heaven-devouring python asked. The tunnel disappeared after I entered. However, it isn't hard to leave. Jiang Changkong said calmly. He tore through the void and entered the black and white space. I will make a trip with the Demon Emperor. After saying that, he headed deeper with the Demon Emperor to search for the core restriction. Not far from where they fought, near the core restriction, the legs that were suppressing the primal chaos beast were taken out by the immortal court immortal emperor. Now, the power of the formation had weakened by a lot. A 2 feet 4 inches tall bottle appeared. It was the yin-yang dual qi bottle. The mouth of the bottle faced the entrance that they entered from, and it breathed in and out the yin-yang dual qi bottle. The demon emperor had already learned how to keep it. The primal chaos golden crow divine power formed special divine runes and imprinted them on the yin-yang dual qi bottle. 1. The yin-yang dual qi bottle trembled slightly. It turned into a stream of light and entered the demon emperor's body. Although it wasn't a sage artifact, it was still a peak grade 8 immortal artifact. If one's strength increased, an ordinary immortal venerable would turn into a puddle of blood in a short time. As the yin-yang dual qi bottle was kept, the black and white space dissipated. Hong long long. Without the suppression of the yin-yang dual qi bottle, torrential primal chaos energy flooded this place. The tunnel appeared. The heaven-devouring python and Tianshi were still waiting for them. The 4 of them left together. Unfortunately, the primal chaos beast that the demon emperor was suppressing had been killed by the immortal court immortal emperor. In the previous battle, the demon emperor couldn't protect them and was killed. Now that they had obtained the yin-yang dual qi bottle, they didn't care about that loss. They could also increase the strength of the demon emperor. They had already tested it. In the future, if there were primal chaos beasts, they could bring them back to the heaven world and kill them. After leaving this place, they stepped onto the teleportation array and returned to the house that Jiang Changkong and the demon emperor teleported from. Tianshi and the heaven-devouring python left directly. The demon emperor and Jiang Changkong took out the reincarnation disc and smashed it at the teleportation stone house. This time, the demon emperor's divine body was damaged and needed chaos divine stones to strengthen it. He hoped that Hutu wouldn't kill him in anger if she knew that he was using the reincarnation disc like this. After smashing it for 3 days, he finally got a large piece of chaos divine stone and put it in the bottle. The 2 of them then left. After arriving at the celestial world, they separated. The demon emperor went to strengthen his body. At this time, Jiang Changkong finally had time to look at his data. Jiang Changkong, Peak Immortal Emperor, God Emperor, 7 Transformation Mystic Art, Desheng, 1/8, 000 Khanate Chaotic Tao Body, Initial Success, 1/2, 000 Golden Crow Immortal Sutra, Perfected, 1/4, 000 Essence, Energy, Spirit, 270980 inch now. It's time to go to the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance. Guhan's Han, Jiang Changkong tore the void and returned to the divine planet where the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance was located. As soon as the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance returned to the palace, the Sun Brothers and Northern Demon arrived immediately. Jiang Changkong sensed the aura in the divine planet and spied on the immortal emperor experts. He didn't see the 2 Vice Alliance Masters or Alliance Master Lin Qianshan. Did Vice Alliance Master Guhan's Han go out? Jiang Changkong asked. Sun Li replied, yes. Not long after you left, he brought people to the vicinity of Buzhou Mountain. Buzhou Mountain? Jiang Changkong frowned. What's he doing there? I don't know. We only know where he went. The 3 of them shook their heads. Northern Demon pondered and said, I heard some news that there will be Khanate fairy artifacts and materials near Buzhou Mountain. Khanate fairy artifacts and materials? Lin Qianshan and Pei Yuanheng also went there? Jiang Changkong stroked the space ring. If Guhan's Han went to Buzhou Mountain, then who was the Guhan's Han and his space equipment? Or was there a teleportation array there that sent Guhan's Han there? It's all in the past. Sun Li looked a little excited and said, now they are all gone. Are you planning to take over the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance? We will definitely support you. The corner of Jiang Changkong's mouth twitched. Tell me more about Guhan's Han and Lin Qianshan in detail. Even if he wanted to change the Alliance Master, he should do it openly, not now. Chapter 699. We don't know much about Lin Qianshan and the rest. They were all exiled in the ancient heaven realm. Then they disappeared. All the immortal emperors disappeared. Only recently did they reappear after the heaven realm reformed. Suddenly pondered. Did they go to chaos? Jiang Changkong asked. North Demon answered, definitely. No immortal emperor has ever been to the chaos. Jiang Changkong thought for a moment and stood up. I'll be going to Buzhou City. Cultivate well. Here is some chaos beast meat. After tossing them some primal chaos beast meat, Jiang Changkong tore through the void and left. Sun Li and the other two didn't think much. They happily took it and went into seclusion. Jiang Changkong's attacks were basically immortal emperors. They were of great help to them. On the demon emperor's side, the chaos divine stone had already melted. 3 phoenix fruits and the phoenix corpse appeared in his hands. This should be enough to bribe Feng Jiao. Buzhou Mountain was on the body of an ancient being. It had collapsed before and was repaired by the immortals with great divine powers. Now Buzhou Mountain was shrouded in divine light. The divine trees on the mountain reached the sky, and the weeds were like trees. The heavy divine aura made even immortal emperors not dare to get close. Near Buzhou Mountain, there were abundant immortal herbs and connate spear herbs. There were even connate spirit stone veins. Jiang Changkong tore space apart all the way. When he was tens of thousands of miles away, he could already see some immortals rushing towards Buzhou Mountain. There were even some factions stationed nearby. He even saw Peng Lai and Jun Yuan, celestial sect disciples. When he was 10,000 miles away from Buzhou Mountain, he stopped. The divine aura here was already very terrifying. He couldn't tear space apart anymore. Some weaker immortals ran quickly on the ground. Those below Immortal Lord couldn't even fly here. Jiang Changkong scanned the area and didn't see the 3 alliance leaders. The divine light of a battle came from ahead. 2 figures were fighting. One sword chi rushed into the clouds, and sword intent shook the 9 heavens. The other's dharma arts were profound and ever-changing. Both were early-stage immortal emperors. They were locked in a stalemate. Jiang Changkong watched from aside. He knew the person holding the sword. It was Ji Yunxiao. He didn't know the other person. It was a young immortal emperor, but since he was able to fight against Ji Yunxiao, his background shouldn't be small. Maybe he was from one of the 4 major powers. The sword lights interweaved, tearing and changing. Ji Yunxiao's strength was extraordinary. Her sword chi was endless. It was faintly discernible and unfathomable. The young immortal emperor was much more flashy. Sometimes he would transform into an immortal crane, and sometimes he would transform into a true dragon to resist the sword chi. Moreover, this person's transformation contained a mysterious power, able to use a portion of the divine abilities of transformation objects. The true dragon controlled lightning, and the immortal crane soared through the clouds. It was indeed exquisite. Buzz! The sword tore apart the thunderbolts, but there was a dazzling white light. Ji Yunxiao's body froze for a moment, and she actually stopped moving, as if she had lost her consciousness. The young immortal emperor quickly flew down from the clouds and turned into an immortal crane, pecking at Ji Yunxiao's glabella. Ji Yunxiao acted as though she did not see it. Instead, she let go of the divine sword in her hand and withdrew her divine power, giving up on resisting. Ding! The red-crowned crane landed, but it was unable to break through the defense. Its body tumbled out and transformed into a human. For you, the young immortal emperor had a heavy expression. He couldn't see through the person in front of him. The heavenly book appeared. Jiang Changkong had a strange expression on his face. He couldn't see through the information of this person. Immortal Emperor of Justice, Jiang Changkong. Jiang Changkong calmly spoke. He placed a hand on Ji Yunxiao's shoulder, and the white light instantly dissipated. Let's forget about this matter. The young immortal emperor cast a deep glance at him before turning to leave. Farewell. The white light dissipated, and Ji Yunxiao regained her consciousness. She stared at the departing person with a heavy expression on her face. Do you want to capture him? Jiang Changkong calmly asked. There's no need. Ji Yunxiao shook her head. I don't have any great enmity with him. It's just that we encountered each other when we were fighting for treasures. This person's methods are strange. What was that white light earlier? This emperor actually couldn't see through it. Jiang Changkong asked. A half-completed immortal slaying flying knife. Ji Yunxiao solemnly said. He is from the immortal slaying sect in the region governed by the immortal court. He obtained a portion of Taoist Liu Ye's inheritance. Hearing about the immortal slaying flying knife, Jiang Changkong had a look of surprise on his face. This was an extremely famous treasure. He didn't expect to see a defective one here. If it was able to freeze him, he would be in danger. However, thinking about it, if they were at the same cultivation realm, Ji Yunxiao probably wouldn't even be able to break through his defenses. There was nothing for him to worry about. As for Ji Yunxiao being stronger than him, a casual move would be enough to kill him. I haven't congratulated you yet. Becoming an immortal emperor has already far surpassed me. Ji Yunxiao had a complicated expression on her face, but she quickly recovered. She had cultivated step by step without relying on the power of the heavens. Jiang Changkong smiled faintly. We're old friends. There's no need to be so polite. All right, why are you here at Mount Buzhou? Looking for materials? I originally wanted to come here to admire this sacred mountain. However, immortal emperors can't enter. I could only wander around nearby and found a Xiantian spirit herb. Then I fought with that person. After Ji Yunxiao finished her story, she asked, Are you here for Mount Buzhou as well? Jiang Changkong said, No, I'm here to look for people. I wonder if you've seen the 3 leaders of the Itinerant Cultivators Alliance. Lin Qinshan, Guhan's Han, Pei Yuanheng? Ji Yunxiao pondered for a moment. I haven't seen them. However, if they are nearby, they shouldn't be able to hide from Peng Lai. Then I'll have to trouble you. Jiang Changkong cupped his hands. Peng Lai was very powerful. They had immortal venerables and many immortal emperors. Finding 3 people shouldn't be a problem. Are you interested in going Peng Lai? Ji Yunxiao invited. I'm afraid Peng Lai doesn't welcome me. Jiang Changkong smiled and said, I want to go to Mount Buzhou to take a look. Why can't immortal emperors enter? Ji Yunxiao explained to him that it was because of the barrier that enveloped Mount Buzhou. The barrier restricted immortal emperors from entering. Only those below immortal emperor could enter Mount Buzhou. Mount Buzhou's godly aura was very strong. Those below immortal emperor would find it very difficult to enter. Jiang Changkong came near Mount Buzhou. The godly aura was getting stronger and stronger. At the foot of the mountain, Ji Yunxiao found it even harder to fly. Jiang Changkong felt like he was carrying the mountain on his back. His flying speed was very slow. The godly aura in the air was stronger. The higher he went, the stronger it got. Looking up at Mount Buzhou, he couldn't see the end of it. The mountain had already rushed out of the heaven realm and entered the chaos. Can immortal venerables enter? Jiang Changkong asked. No. Ji Yunxiao shook her head. Not long after Mount Buzhou appeared, Peng Lai's immortal venerables and Jin Yuan's sect's immortal venerables came to try. The result was the same. They couldn't move the barrier. Jiang Changkong thought for a moment and descended. He retracted the godly power in his body and maintained his early immortal cultivation. Emperor Hao Tian's methods could even fool the heavenly Tao. It should work here too, right? Jiang Changkong reached out and touched the golden barrier. Bang! A rebounding force came, and Jiang Changkong was sent flying. Jiang Changkong was a little shocked. Was this a method left behind by a sage or Emperor Hao Tian? Only these 2 possibilities could see through his concealment. Ji Yunxiao smiled faintly and said, If you want to know the situation inside, you can send some immortal kings in to record it and pass it to you. That's the only way. Jiang Changkong smiled helplessly. He looked in the other direction. Many immortal kings had entered. Chapter 700. Now, Mount Buzhou could be used as a place of protection for immortal kings. If they offended an immortal emperor, they could enter this place, and the immortal emperor would not be able to pursue them. If he could escape the pursuit of the immortal emperor and enter this place, he took Ji Yunxiao to wander around Mount Buzhou, looking for Guhan's Han and the other 2. Even after a day had passed, Jiang Changkong did not find any trace of Guhan's Han and the others, nor did he find the Peng Lai sect. The other side, the demonic beast emperor had already finished upgrading his god body. This time, he had a large piece of primal chaos godstone. Even if his god body was not as strong as his main body, it should not be too far off. Back at the Demon King's palace, Sun Wuxuan squatted on the chair without a care for his image. Demon Sovereign, I heard that you met with danger this time. Sun Wuxuan grinned and said, I'll go with you next time. The Demon Emperor said, I didn't expect it to be so dangerous. In the future, when there are celestial emperors from the heavenly court, be careful. The people of the heavenly court are too despicable. In order to become stronger, they would do anything. Oh right, Demon Emperor, Demon Master Cohen, you've been captured alive by the God Court, along with Fengjiu. Sun Wuxuan slapped his thigh and sighed. This trash is simply a piece of mud that can't be helped up. The Demon Sovereign's expression remained unchanged as he asked, what did the Demon Sovereign say? Of course, we will redeem him. However, Kuan Yu has become an immortal emperor. The price for 2 immortal emperors to redeem him is too high. Sun Wuxuan crossed his legs and said, they're going to divide the ruins. Divide the ruins? The Demon Emperor raised his eyebrows. Tell me more. In this reorganization of the heavenly realm, the heavenly Tao has given a total of 436 ruins. There seemed to be a lot of ruins, but compared to the entire heaven realm, there weren't many. It was impossible to distribute them evenly. Everyone fought with their own strength. Not only would there be heavy casualties, they might also destroy the ruins. The 4 great powers decided to divide the ruins. Those who were stronger would occupy more, while those who were weaker would occupy less. The Demon Emperor frowned and said, the 4 major powers are not planning to split it evenly. What are they planning to do? Compete with the immortal venerables? How could an immortal venerable fight to the death for this relic? This is a battle between immortal emperors. Sun Wuxuan scratched his fur and said, besides the 4 great powers, there's also the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance. Rogue Cultivator Alliance? The Demon Arch and the others agreed. The Demon Sovereign was slightly shocked. The Rogue Cultivator Alliance was pitifully weak. Did the 4 factions have a hole in their heads, or did they find their conscience and decided to give them a share? Right now, the Rogue Cultivators Alliance doesn't only have that bit of strength. They've joined forces with the Immortal Slaying Sect, the Jinyuan Sect, as well as the Punlai Immortal Sects and minor immortal sections. Sun Wuxuan said. The Demon Emperor frowned. Lin Qianshan and the others were so powerful that they could ally with the other celestial sects. If these immortal sects joined forces, their strength would indeed be terrifying. Any one of the 4 great powers would have to give way to them. Sun Wuxuan continued. The Demon Monarch cannot act, neither can Jiang Chongkong. There is also me, a peak immortal emperor. We will affect the balance. The Demon Sovereign's battle prowess was already at the pinnacle of the immortal emperor realm. He also had the Sage Artifact Shard. As for Jiang Chongkong, he had a complete god item, the Wheel of Reincarnation. How are they supposed to fight him? As for Sun Wuxuan, he was even more outrageous. He was a peak immortal emperor with a Sage Artifact. Only an immortal sovereign could come. The 3 of them showed signs of becoming the 3 giants below the celestial venerables. The Demon Monarch can respond to this matter. I don't think I need to interfere, Jiang Chongkong said. I'm afraid not. Although the Demon Monarch does not have many immortal emperors, there are still some. The underworld, Sun Wuxuan said in a low voice. This time, the relic will be divided into life and death. The Demon Monarch looked down. That will weaken the power. If the Demon Monarch wanted to weaken the power of his subordinates, he would probably send his immortal emperors. There was no need for many, just the strongest few would be enough. Sun Wuxuan fell silent. Fortunately, the Demon Monarch did not directly send the immortal emperors. Can we borrow the Sage Artifact? The Demon Monarch suddenly looked up. Sun Wuxuan was stunned. Even if we have the Sage Artifact, it will be a waste if we cannot use its power. Forget it. Let's put this matter aside first. Immortal Emperor Wuxuan, help me investigate the whereabouts of the Rogue Cultivator's Deputy Alliance Leader, Gu Hanshan. The Demon Monarch also told him about Gu Hanshan's corpse. One died in the primal chaos. There is another Gu Hanshan in the heaven realm. Sun Wuxuan was stunned. Could it be that there were two identical people? The demon sovereign said slowly. Jiang Changkong guessed that the rogue cultivator alliance might be related to the celestial spirits. I wonder if this matter is related to the celestial spirits. I'll go investigate right away. Sun Wuxuan immediately left. Immortal spirits, the common enemy of the heaven realm. The heavenly Tao wouldn't tolerate it. After the ancient era, the immortal world was almost destroyed. Almost every clan in the world of immortals had a grudge against immortal spirits. However, the immortal spirit did not appear now, so they had no way of finding it. After Sun Wuxuan left, the demon emperor contacted Feng Jiao. Feng Jiao sneaked in and even closed the doors of the demon king palace. You are so careful. Are you so afraid of being discovered by the demon arch? The demon sovereign asked indifferently. Feng Jiao let out a hollow laugh and quickly said, "Isn't it to better help the demon monarch? If I am discovered, it will be inconvenient for the demon emperor." The demon emperor nodded and took out a phoenix fruit. "Take a look at this." Feng Nine hurried forward and stared at the phoenix fruit with a fiery gaze. "Chaotic phoenix fruit? What's the use of this thing?" Demon emperor asked. "By purifying the bloodline, one can even revert to a chaotic phoenix. However, the power inside is too violent. This violent aura has already suppressed the phoenix bloodline. It needs to be processed before it can be consumed." Feng Jiao stared at it, wanting to swallow it in one mouthful. "How far can this fruit help you improve?" The demon emperor muttered. "Middle stage, celestial emperor. Maybe the limit. Potential at the limit of celestial emperor." Feng Jiao quickly said, "Chaotic phoenix fruit tree. 3 fruits every 10,000 years. If you consume all 3, you will definitely revert to your ancestry and become a chaotic phoenix or ominous phoenix. You will have the potential to corroborate the Tao." Then, she carefully looked at the demon sovereign. "You took out 1. There should be 2 more, right?" "I do have 2 more. It depends on your future performance." The demon sovereign passed the ominous phoenix fruit to Feng Jiao. Feng Jiao will not let the demon sovereign down in this life. Feng Jiao said emotionally. He had always wanted to purify his bloodline and improve, but he did not have this opportunity. Now that the demon sovereign had given it to him, he had to grab it. As for corroborating the Tao, that was too vague. One could not corroborate the mixed essence Tao just because they had the potential. In the primordial era, there were countless great mediums with the potential to corroborate the Tao, but not all of them had corroborated the Tao. Feng Jiao carefully accepted it and hesitated. Demon sovereign. Under normal circumstances, this chaotic phoenix fruit can only be cultivated by the chaotic phoenix clan. Even in the primordial era, when the phoenix clan was at its peak, they could only rely on the essence blood of the phoenix bloodline to barely cultivate a fruit tree. They also needed the chaotic chi from the ancestral phoenix to water it day and night. Only after tens of thousands of years can it grow. The demon sovereign suddenly looked up. "What do you mean? Either there's a chaotic phoenix clan, or at least a phoenix that has touched the sage realm. Only then can it be cultivated." Feng Jiao lowered her head and said respectfully. The demon sovereign was shocked. He took out the corpse. There was only one at that time. "Impossible. This is a chaotic phoenix. It should be a clan. Otherwise, it is impossible to cultivate a fruit tree," Feng Jiao said with certainty. "What's going on? Why would the chaotic phoenix clan leave?" The migration of any clan is a major event, unless it is a disaster. To be able to cultivate this fruit tree, the chaotic phoenix clan is extremely powerful. Chapter 701. To be able to nurture the chaos phoenix fruit tree, one needed a phoenix or a race that was close to the saint realm. Jiang Changkong only met one, and it was only a peak immortal emperor. It was obvious that the chaos phoenix race had left early. If they wanted the chaos phoenixes to migrate, or if there were high-level chaos phoenixes that were willing to leave. Monster Emperor thought about it and linked it to the Blood Tao Chaos Beasts in Clearwind Hall. The place they went should be the nest of the chaos phoenixes. In the experimental ground where the yin-yang twin chi bottle was, he had suppressed a few chaos beasts, but they were not strong, and there were not many of them. Could it be that it was also a group that migrated away but there were a few that were unwilling to leave, or perhaps they fell behind and didn't manage to escape. If they all left, how was he going to find the chaos beasts and bring them to Heaven Domain to exchange for Heaven power? Monster Emperor ordered Fengjiu, pay attention to the Chaos Divine Stones and Chaos Beasts. Yes, Fengjiu replied respectfully. Monster Emperor thought about it and passed him the Immortal Emperor chapter of the Phoenix Celestial Sutra. This is from Jiang Chongkong. Thank you, Monster Emperor. I will serve you until the end of my life. Fengjiu's voice was firm, and he was extremely emotional. He took the fruit and the Chaos Phoenix's corpse and left. He could not wait to go back and improve. With his fruit and the corpse, he would be able to improve further. There is also the Incomplete Phoenix Celestial Sutra. If he could not improve further, he would be letting down the Monster Emperor. He had some Immortal Emperors in his hands, but there were not many peak Immortal Emperors. There were only those from Huagua Mountain. If the Monster Emperor wanted him to send Immortal Emperors, he would have to take out the Yin-Yang Twin Chi bottle for safety. Not long after, Kuan Yu arrived with the Demon Thearcha's orders. He had regained his arrogant look, just like a proud rooster. Monster Emperor, the Monster Emperor has orders for you to send one Immortal Emperor from each realm to participate in the Ruins War. Kuan Yu raised his head and looked at Monster Emperor. How much of the Ruins War will I get? Monster Emperor was not in a hurry to agree. Kuan Yu's expression did not change. We are all members of the Monster Court and belong to the Monster Race. After we get the ruins, the Monster Race will share the items inside. Whoever is capable and contributes more will get more. Will the Demon Arch also share the information about the ruins? The Demon Emperor asked indifferently. Kuan Yu frowned slightly. Of course we will. Demon King, choose 4 Immortal Emperors and prepare for battle. All right, I'll get them to contact the Demon Master later. The Demon King agreed. Farewell. Kuan Yu cupped his hands. He was very satisfied with the Demon Emperor's reply. He was worried that the Demon Emperor would reject him. Demon Master, please wait. The Demon Emperor called out. Kuan Yu stopped in his tracks. Demon Sovereign, is there anything else? The Demon King sighed and said in a serious tone, I heard that the Demon Master was captured by the Celestial Court again. Is this true? Kuan Yu. The arrogance on his face instantly turned into exasperation. Kuan Yu lowered his head in embarrassment. Then, he quickly left. This Demon Sovereign was truly inhumane. It wasn't easy for him to regain some of his pride and prestige as a Demon Master, but it was instantly smacked away. Seeing Kuan Yu leave in anger, the Demon Emperor fell into deep thought. Should he give Kuan Yu another round? Continue to be captured by the Divine Court? The next time he made a deal, he couldn't let the Divine Court benefit so easily. He called Sun Wuquan over and asked him to pick 4 Celestial Emperors to prepare for battle. Of course, he wouldn't let his subordinates die. He planned to lend out the Yin-Yang Dual Chi bottle, the Chaos Bell fragment, the Reincarnation Disc, and the Panga Banner. If he really couldn't do it, he could admit defeat on the spot and take back the ruins in the future. The Demon Emperor didn't want his subordinates to fight to the death for the Demon Emperor. Demon Emperor, there's a clue about Gu Han, Sun Wuquan said. Where? The Demon Emperor quickly asked. He just left the Celestial Court and is a guest at the Immortal Slaying Sect, Sun Wuquan said in a deep voice. I found out that the 3 leaders of the Itinerant Cultivators Alliance have a wide range of friends. Many sects, and the 4 forces have Celestial Emperors as their friends. Wide range of friends? The Demon Emperor narrowed his eyes with a fierce glint. A group of itinerant cultivators had been exiled to the ancient heaven realm. If they were friends of the 4 forces, he would believe it. But sects like the Zhen Yuan Celestial Sect had always been developing in the celestial world. They had only ascended after the heavenly realm was reorganized. How did they have any connections in the past? This Guhan's Han was definitely a fake. Do you have friends in the Zhen Yuan Celestial Sect? The Demon Emperor asked. Yes, a late-stage Celestial Emperor Elder, Sun Wuquan said in a low voice. Daoist Qingfeng was originally a divine mountain and entered the Zhen Yuan Celestial Sect. The Demon Emperor nodded, recorded the information, and sent it to his main body. On Mount Buzhou, Jiang Changkong received the news and rushed to the Zhen Yuan celestial sect. They also had friends in Penglai, but they hadn't found out yet. Ji Yinxiao went with him. She also wanted to see if Lu Qingxian had become an celestial emperor. Jiang Changkong went there without any prior notice and directly descended. The Zhen Yuan celestial sect had several mountain peaks that pierced the clouds. White clouds floated in the sky, and dense celestial qi filled the air. It was an immortal holy land. The sect protecting array was at the celestial supremacy level and covered the entire sect. Without a guide, without the strength of an celestial supremacy, it was impossible to break through the array. Penglai immortal Emperor Ji Yunxiao, Jiang Changkong, pays a visit to the Zhen Yuan celestial sect. Ji Yunxiao's voice resounded throughout the Zhen Yuan celestial sect. Buzz! The sect protecting array opened, and a figure arrived on a cloud. It was their old acquaintance, Lu Qingxian. "Oh, it's the two of you. Please come in." Lu Qingxian welcomed them warmly and invited them in. "Let's go see the ancestor first, then we can catch up." "The celestial supremacy from last time?" Jiang Changkong raised his eyebrows. "That's right. It's Ancestor Jinxian. The ancestor predicted that you would come, so he asked me to welcome you at the entrance of the sect." Lu Qingxian smiled. Jiang Changkong looked shocked. Ji Yinxiao looked calm. The venerable Zhen Xian is good at deducing the mysteries of heaven. It's not a big deal for him to predict this. Does this mean that I won't be safe anywhere in the future? What do I want to do? This celestial supremacy can predict with a pinch of his fingers? Then can I ask him to help me predict where there are chaos beasts? Of course, he was just thinking about it. No matter how powerful the Zhen Yuan celestial sect was, it could not be so terrifying. If he could calculate it clearly, he would not be the venerable Zhen Yuan, but the great sage Zhen Yuan. Following Lu Qingxian, they came to the top of a mountain. There were no buildings here, only an old Taoist in a green robe, holding a horsetail whisk and a futon. "Qingxian, take Yunxiao to the sect. I have something important to discuss with the immortal Emperor of Justice." The venerable Zhen Xian said lightly. "Yes, ancestor." Lu Qingxian responded respectfully and left with Ji Yunxiao. "Greetings, venerable immortal." Jiang Changkong bowed and bowed. The venerable Zhen Xian returned the greeting and waved his horsetail whisk. "Sit down. The venerable immortal predicted my return. I wonder if you can predict what it is for?" Jiang Changkong sat cross-legged on the futon and said calmly. The venerable Zhen Xian smiled and said, "I can't. The immortal Emperor of Justice has a holy object that can hide the mysteries of heaven. He also has an immortal title. He is an immortal favored by the heavenly way and cannot be underestimated." Jiang Changkong was silent. He did not know whether to tell the truth in front of this person. Chapter 702. Looking at the silent Jiang Changkong, venerable Zhen Xian smiled and stroked his beard. His black hair draped over his shoulders, his beard stroked gently, and his eyes were as deep as the endless starry sky. "Since you're here, speak your mind. I'm not an evil person. Even if I don't allow it, I will not make things difficult for you." Venerable immortal Zhen Xian said. "Then I will speak frankly." Jiang Changkong bowed again and said, "I have already joined the Rogue Cultivator Alliance and am now one of the Vice Alliance leaders. However, I did not know that the Rogue Cultivator Alliance has such a wide network. Not long ago, I found out that the Rogue Cultivators Alliance has connections with the Zhen Yuan Celestial Sect and the Penglai Immortal Slaying Sect." Venerable Zhen Xian nodded slightly. "Immortal Emperor of Justice, do you want to take over the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance's network?" Jiang Changkong shook his head. "No, it's just that I have a lot of doubts in my heart, so I came here to seek answers." Immortal Lord Zhen Xian smiled and waited for his explanation. When Jiang Changkong took out Gu Hanshan's body, the corners of venerable immortal Zhen Xuan's eyes twitched. He had heard of this rogue cultivator deputy alliance master. A few days ago, he even came to see immortal Emperor Qingfeng. Could it be that he was killed by Jiang Changkong right after he left the Zhen Yuan sect? I obtained this in the primal chaos. When Jiang Changkong told him what had happened, Venerable Immortal Zhen Xian's expression gradually became solemn. In that case, the current Guhanzhan was probably fake. The itinerant immortal emperors were exiled to the ancient heaven realm and went to the chaos. It should be difficult for them to get to know the immortal emperors of the immortal sex. Jiang Changkong added, "From the immortal world, I can reach the primordial chaos." Venerable Zhen Xian pondered and said, "Let's put this matter aside for now. I will pay attention to Green Peak. However, another variable has appeared in the heavenly realm." "Oh." Jiang Changkong raised his eyebrows. "The heavenly court." Venerable Zhen Xian said solemnly, "That person in the heavenly courts stole the research results of the ancient immortal gods. Immortal Emperor of Justice knows this as well." Jiang Changkong nodded. He was not surprised that Venerable Zhen Xian knew about this. It would be abnormal if an existence that stood at the peak of the heaven realm didn't know anything. The research results of the ancient immortals and gods are enough for him to take a step forward, but this kind of progress is not permitted by the heavenly Tao. This time, I agreed to the division of the ruins because I was considering this matter and wanted to give that person in the heavenly court a reminder. Venerable Immortal Zhen Xian said. Were they preparing to work together to put pressure on the heavenly court? Jiang Changkong thought. However, would that person in the heavenly court give up? Definitely not. The research results of the ancient immortal gods would be what he relied on to become the only celestial emperor. Is the Zhen Yuan celestial sect planning to intervene in the affairs of the heaven realm? Jiang Changkong pondered. Immortal supremacy, Zhen Xian sighed softly. Only made a move once, hoping to keep the heavenly court celestial emperor in check and make him give up this method. Take out the reincarnation disc. I have something to return to you. Return it to me? Jiang Changkong was stunned. He took out the reincarnation wheel. Celestial Venerable doesn't seem to owe me anything. I owe that person. If it wasn't for that person's enlightenment, there wouldn't be the Zhen Xian of today. Celestial Lord Zhen Xian sighed slightly and stroked the reincarnation disc. 3 streams of malevolent qi entered the reincarnation disc. The reincarnation disc trembled and let out a joyful cry. These 3 streams of malevolent qi can protect you 3 times. In the entire heaven realm, unless a saint appears, no one can keep you here. Celestial Lord Zhen Xian's expression was solemn. I hope that the Celestial Emperor of Justice will use it carefully, because I don't know where this malevolent qi will take you. It was left by Hutu. Jiang Changkong's expression froze. Celestial Lord Zhen Xian remained silent. Jiang Changkong wanted to ask again, but Celestial Lord Zhen Xian said, "Does the owner of the reincarnation disc have these 3 streams of malevolent qi? Now that you have the reincarnation disc, it belongs to you. I will remind you again that the reincarnation disc has supreme power. You haven't activated it yet. Once you activate it, ordinary celestial venerables might not be your match." After a pause, Celestial Lord Zhen Xian seemed to know something and sighed softly. "You are not suitable to be the master of the heaven realm. Give up." "Why?" Jiang Changkong frowned. "How should I activate this reincarnation disc?" Since Celestial Lord Zhen Xian mentioned it, it was definitely not something that could only be activated when one reached the celestial venerable realm. The heavenly way will not agree. You will know about the reincarnation disc when the opportunity comes. Celestial Lord Zhen Xian swept his horsetail whisk, and a powerful force took him down the mountain. Jiang Changkong was a little depressed, but also a little happy. He was depressed because he was left behind by Celestial Lord Zhen Xian. He was happy because he could be considered a person with life-saving means, and it was of a higher level than the Celestial Venerables. And it was 3 times. This must have been left by Hutu. It was a life-saving means of a saint. Even a Celestial Venerable at the limit could not catch up. As for the Master of the Heaven Realm, if he didn't try, who knew if the heavenly way would change its mind in the end? What if he became a saint and defeated the heavenly way? Celestial Lord Zhen Xian directly sent him to Lu Qingxuan's side. They were discussing the way. Jiang Changkong was not very interested. After listening for a while, he left. This time, he did not go to find Guhanzhan again. Instead, he returned to the divine planet where the Rogue Cultivators Alliance was located. He tore through space and returned. The sky was already dark, but it was bright inside the divine planet. The golden hepta chi illuminated the space. Jiang Changkong sat high in the immortal Emperor of Justice Hall. His divine power spread across the entire divine planet. All immortals of the itinerant Cultivator Alliance, including the immortal emperors, come and see me. Jiang Changkong's voice spread throughout the entire divine planet. Sun Li and the other two were the first to arrive. The immortal emperors also arrived. 15 minutes later, thousands of immortals arrived on the divine planet. They were all experts, and the weakest was an immortal lord. Immortal Emperor of Justice, why did you summon us here? An immortal emperor asked. He was a little puzzled as to why all the immortals had been summoned. Although not all the immortals were here, they were more than half. A small half were still in the ruins and had not rushed back. I think the Alliance can change its leader. Jiang Changkong looked at this immortal emperor. He was quite strong, mid-stage immortal emperor. The thousands of immortals, the 7 immortal emperors. There were originally 14 immortal emperors. Jiang Changkong had killed one, so there were 13 left. Lin Xianshan and the other 2 had left with 3, so there were 7 left. The 7 immortal emperors were dumbfounded. Jiang Changkong had been very arrogant back then. If he had the strength, he would have changed the leader. Lin Xianshan had endured it in the end. How long had it been? The moment they left, he wanted to change the leader? Jiang Changkong said calmly, I wanted to ask for their opinion, but I couldn't contact them, so I decided to change the leader first. He had wanted to get rid of Gu Hanshan and the others and change the leader openly. Now, it seemed like he could only be the leader first. Immortal Emperor of Justice, that's not good, right? The mid-stage Immortal Emperor's face twitched. Who would take the position the moment someone left? You all think it's not good too? Jiang Changkong looked at the other immortals. The immortals didn't say anything. Were their opinions important? Sun Li and the other 2 hurriedly said, We support Alliance Leader Jiang. The Heaven Realm is all about strength. Alliance Leader Jiang has the strength. The other immortals remained silent. The mid-stage Immortal Emperor heaved a sigh of relief and said, Deputy Alliance Leader, look, no one knows what to do. Or, that's easy. Jiang Changkong interrupted him. Chaos divine power gathered, and the mid-stage Immortal Emperor flew uncontrollably towards Jiang Changkong. With a bang, blood splattered. He stood up, ignoring the corpse on the ground. He looked at the other immortal emperors and the many immortal gods. Now, do you all know what to do? The thousands of immortal gods were silent. They hurriedly said, We support Alliance Leader Jiang. Alliance Leader Jiang will definitely lead us to glory. We also support Alliance Leader Jiang. The remaining 6 immortal emperors braced themselves and said, Too cruel. You killed an immortal emperor just because of a disagreement. Do you really think immortal emperors are cabbages? How did you get the position of Immortal Emperor of Justice? Is the heavenly Tao blind? Chapter 703. Since yours truly is the Alliance Master now, hand over your resources. Jiang Changkong said calmly. The mid-stage Immortal Emperor spatial equipment flew into his hands. The 6 immortal emperors had ugly expressions, but they had to hand it over. The thousands of immortals' expressions changed. They had worked so hard to get their hands on some resources, but now they were all going to be handed over to Jiang Changkong. Lin Xianshan and the rest knew to leave half for them, but Jiang Changkong didn't. I'm sorry, I didn't make myself clear. Jiang Changkong took out a Chaos Beast corpse. Its majestic aura made it hard for them to breathe. I will use an immortal Emperor-level Chaos Beast to trade with you. Alliance Leader Jiang is wise. The immortals were excited. So that was the case. They were scared to death. With an immortal Emperor-level Chaos Beast corpse, what resources did they need? Jiang Changkong added, I only want immortal stones, and the lowest is an immortal king. Immortal lords don't need to come. Sun Li, the 3 of you help me handle it. Alliance Leader Jiang, what do you think? The 6 immortal emperors looked on. They wanted it too. This Chaos Beast was a late-stage immortal emperor. It was stronger than them. If they could refine this Chaos Beast corpse, it would definitely be better than grade 7 immortal stones. You guys can split it. Jiang Changkong took out another chaos beast and threw it to them. All right, you can trade with chaos divine stones too. The immortals were overjoyed. There was no longer any resentment in their hearts. In comparison, Jiang Changkong was better. In the future, you can use all your gains from the ruins to trade. If you need to deal with the chaos beasts, I can help too. There is no charge, Jiang Changkong said. Thank you, Alliance Leader Jiang. Some of the peak god kings almost cried. This was a kind alliance leader. Lin Xianshan, Gu Hanshan, Pei Yuanheng, they could all go to hell. From now on, they would fully support Jiang Changkong. Alliance leader, we are not allowed to enter the ruins. The 4 factions are planning to divide the ruins, an immortal emperor said. Lin Xianshan and the rest are rushing about for this. That's right, Alliance leader. I heard that you're not allowed to participate at that time. An immortal emperor spoke in a low voice. Jiang Changkong waved his hand and said, "It's fine. I have a good relationship with the demon emperor. If it doesn't work, we can go to the demon court ruins." As for the relic, he would deal with it according to the situation. The immortal venerables had to keep the heavenly emperor in check and should not have time to care about him. Since that's the case, I'm afraid it's not up to you whether I participate or not. At that time, he could encourage Sun Wuxuan and see if he could change the rules. As for the alliance between Lin Qianshan and the others, he didn't care. Previously, he was not strong enough and his hands and feet were tied. After all, there was an immortal venerable above him. As an immortal lord, with 3 baleful auras to protect his life, he had nothing to fear. In any case, he would not die. In the entire heaven realm, no one could kill him. What was there to worry about? If you're not satisfied, then fight. Kill them all. After collecting all the resources, Jiang Changkong began to look through them. After coming out of the relic, these immortals had basically obtained some benefits. The 6 immortal emperors also had many good things. He counted the 7th grade immortal stones, 400 mid-grade immortal stones, 950 low-grade immortal stones, 6th grade immortal stones, 3,500 top-grade, 16,000 high-grade, 30,000 mid-grade, 10,000 low-grade. Essence, Qi, and Spirit. 1,495,000. It was not enough for his late-stage Tao body. He still needed about 250,000. There were quite a lot of Chaos Divine Stones, 13 in total. It should be enough to upgrade the Monster Emperor's divine body to another level. Unfortunately, the Monster Emperors were all a bunch of poor people. The Monster the Arch, who was a brother on the surface, only had a mouth and did not give any real benefits. The Celestial Emperors were too poor. 6 Celestial Emperors added together were not even as good as 2 mutated Celestial Emperors of the Heavenly Courts. Why don't I help the Heavenly Courts? Let them all mutate and then kill them. After taking out the Chaos Divine Stones, Jiang Changkong told them to go into seclusion. He split a portion of Chaos Divine power and hid it in their bodies. Once someone had an accident or contacted Gu Hanshan and the others, he would be able to find out immediately and kill them. He tore open space and arrived at the Chaos Divine Fire Relic. Stop! At the entrance of the relic, a group of immortals guarded it. One of them said coldly, "The Celestial Arch has ordered that no one is allowed to enter the relic." Scram! Jiang Changkong glanced at him, and the immortal spirit was sent flying. Didn't he know who he was? The Celestial Arch could not control him. The immortal spirit got up and was about to get angry when an immortal king raised his hand to stop them. There is only Chaos Divine Fire inside. Let him in, Lord, but the Celestial Arch is there. The immortal spirit hesitated. That is the immortal Emperor of Justice. If he wants to die, he can go, the immortal king said coldly. The immortal spirits immediately shut up. Immortal Emperor of Justice Jiang Changkong was a ruthless person. He did not care which faction they were from. He would definitely dare to kill them. The Celestial Emperors of the Heavenly Courts, if not for their celestial venerables, would have been killed long ago. The Chaos Divine Fire burned and the Chaos Divine Stones melted. Pages of immortal sutras and information about the relic entered Jiang Changkong's mind. Of the 13 Chaos Divine Stones, 5 contained information, 2 contained immortal sutras, and 3 contained relics. Jiang Chongkong digested the information and divided the relic. It should be in these 2 days. If he went, he might not make it in time. The Demon Emperor did not have the time. This was a critical moment, and he could not leave. Sun Wuxuan could not either. It looked like he could only wait for now. As for creating more avatars, forget it. He did not have the energy or that many treasures. Soon, the Demon Emperor arrived and fused with the Chaos Divine Stones to strengthen his body. After leaving the relic and returning to the Divine Planet, it should not be difficult for the Demon Emperor to think of a way to get the remaining 200,000 essences. The Demon Emperor returned. Sun Wuxuan was drinking wine. Demon Emperor, the 4 celestial emperors have been chosen. This emperor and that Jiang Chongkong discussed, and he is willing to lend us the sage artifact. However, it is precious, and Jiang Chongkong wants resources. The Demon Emperor said, "Resources? This is a small matter. How much?" Sun Wuxuan said nonchalantly. The Demon Emperor said solemnly, 10,000 top 7th grade immortal stones. Sun Wuxuan. This was a big matter. 10,000 top 7th grade immortal stones? Why did he not rob them? This friendship was fake, right? How about we don't lend it? This immortal Emperor Justice is really not a good person. Where can the Demon Emperor find so many immortal stones? Sun Wuxuan bared his teeth, his eyes almost spitting fire. 10,000 top 7th grade immortal stones was equivalent to 4 million essences. The Demon Emperor could not even afford the wages of his subordinates. He definitely could not afford it. Immortal Emperor Wuxuan, this matter will be difficult for you. The Demon Emperor sighed. Difficult for me? Sun Wuxuan was stunned and said warily, Huagua Mountain can't afford it either. 10,000 top 7th grade immortal stones was too much. Even if Huagua Mountain could afford it, they might not agree. This time, it is for the demon race, for the demon court. Immortal Emperor Wuxuan. Demon Emperor, Huagua Mountain supports you, but it does not mean that Huagua Mountain has to take out everything. You can't be so ruthless, Sun Wuxuan screamed. The Demon Emperor waved his hand. You are wrong. I want you to go to the demon court. I am the Demon Emperor, so it is not good for me to appear. Only you can go. This time, the division of the ruins is also for the demon court. We can't contribute people, and we have to spend resources to borrow immortal stones. I see. I will go now, Sun Wuxuan hurriedly said. Don't be in a hurry. If we want resources, we can't just say that we won't do anything. We can make a fuss and show off our contributions. This time, for the demon court, the Demon Emperor will definitely give some. 10,000 is too much. Sun Wuxuan felt his teeth hurt. Take as much as you can, and ask for more. Chapter 704. The monster court had one more monkey, and a group of celestial emperors were beaten up. The prestige that Demon Master Kuan Yu had just regained vanished completely with his bruised face. Most of the feathers on his body were plucked out. Kuan Yu found the monster emperor in tears and scolded the monkey. Monster Emperor, that monkey is rebelling. The monster emperor's expression darkened. What happened? It was fine before, but just now, that monkey went crazy and didn't let the 4 celestial emperors come. He even beat me and the other celestial emperors and destroyed 8 palaces, Kuan Yu said angrily. What did the monster emperor say? The monster emperor frowned. That damn Dongwang Changyue, he didn't even come out and just sat in the temple. He didn't come out to do anything. Kuan Yu said angrily. Monster Emperor, this monster emperor doesn't respect you at all. He's vicious and definitely up to no good. The monster emperor frowned even more. Did Sun Wuxuan touch the sea, steadying godly iron? No, he hit me with his fist, Kuan Yu replied. He didn't dare to lie to the monster emperor about this. The monster emperor looked closely at Kuan Yu. He was only lightly injured and looked a bit ugly on the outside, but he was fine. If Kuan Yu used his celestial power, he could easily recover. This monster master didn't recover, so he came to complain and express his grievances. Thinking of this, the monster emperor's frown eased. Bring Sun Wuxuan here. Monster Emperor, I can't take him down, Kuan Yu said sullenly. What if I get beaten up again if I go over now? That monkey is going crazy. I told you to go, so go. Just say that I summoned you. The monster emperor said coldly. Kuan-Yu shrunk back in fear and quickly left. Not long later, Sun Wuxuan arrived, baring his teeth and looking fierce. What's wrong with immortal Emperor Wuxuan? The monster emperor asked with concern. Did he get affected by some evil energy and become delirious? Monster emperor, you be the judge. Sun Wuxuan glared at Kuan-Yu and said, the monster emperor is loyal and deserves credit and manpower. He drew a boundary and blocked heavenly court. The demon emperor nodded. We will always remember the demon emperor's contributions. Such a meritorious service. The demon emperor doesn't ask for anything in return. But the monkeys of the flower fruit mountain, the demon soldiers under the demon emperor, can't they just eat and drink and have no desires? Sun Wuxuan found a chair and sat down. He pointed at Kuan-Yu and said, I asked the demon master for resources, but he didn't give me a single cent, So, you plucked a lot of his hair? The demon Thearcha's face twitched. You're asking for resources? It's clearly 30,000 top-tier immortal stones, said Kuan-Yu angrily. 30,000 yuan. What could he give her? If he did, the demon Thearch would skin him alive. Sun Wuxuan grinned, his teeth gleaming with a cold light. There was no other way. In order for the demon court to win, the demon emperor planned to borrow the reincarnation disc and the Panga banner fragment. In the end, he lost all face and was too ashamed to leave the demon imperial palace. What happened? The beast monarch frowned and asked. That Jiang Changkong mocked the demon sovereign for being so poor that he couldn't even afford to raise his demon soldiers. Yet he still had the face to borrow a saint artifact. Without 30,000 top-tier, 7th-grade immortal stones, don't even think about borrowing a saint artifact. Sun Wuxuan's face was full of anger. Jiang Changkong even mocked the demon sovereign. Let the demon sovereign scram to the celestial world, lest he embarrasses the demons in the heavenly domain. 30,000 top-tier, 7th-grade immortal stones. This immortal emperor of justice really has a big appetite. The beast monarch said indifferently. Then let's not borrow. Demons don't need a saint artifact to defeat their enemies. Demon Thearch, the demon sovereign is your second brother. It's not a matter of whether to borrow or not. It's a matter of face. I feel that we should let the demon sovereign use 30,000 immortal stones to mock Jiang Changkong. Sun Wuxuan said angrily. The beast monarch sighed softly. 30,000 is too much. I personally took Jiang Changkong and took the saint artifact. Do you think I don't know that the demon sovereign and Jiang Changkong have a good relationship? What 30,000 top-tier, 7th-grade immortal stones? Losing face. It's just resources that the demon sovereign wants. Sun Wuxuan was stunned. Seeing the beast monarch's expression, he was not angry. All right, demon sovereign, please do it. That Jiang Changkong is really a good-for-nothing. He actually dares to show off his deep friendship with celestial sovereign Zhenxian. The beast monarch, you're trying to find a backer again? Celestial sovereign Zhenxian was really an opponent worthy of fear. They had been paying attention to the matters of the heavenly court recently and had secretly contacted each other. I really can't bully the descendant of my old friend Zhenxian. The beast monarch found a way out of this embarrassing situation and said indifferently, 30,000 is too much. That Jiang Changkong is also a pauper. He's purely provoking the demon sovereign. Immortal Emperor Wuxuan, you have to remind my second brother not to be fooled. Beast monarch, I promise that after I get the immortal stones and mock Jiang Changkong, I will bring them back, Sun Wuxuan said solemnly. Promise my ass. If I really give you 30,000 and you can still come back, it will be a miracle. Immortal Emperor Wuxuan, you also know that a top 7th-grade immortal stone is a rare treasure. Even Huaihua Mountain can't take out 30,000 in a short time. The Beast Monarch said indifferently. How can Huaihua Mountain compare to the Beast Monarch? The Beast Monarch has the demon court, and tens of thousands of demons come to pay respects. Sun Wuxuan hurriedly flattered. 5,000. The Beast Monarch said indifferently. Sun Wuxuan shook his head. The demon sovereign is too ashamed to go out. 6,000 is the most I can give. I'm ashamed to face the demon sovereign. I'll listen to that, Jiang Chongkong, and scram back to the celestial world. Kuan Yu looked at him coldly. This monkey was clearly here for resources. He didn't understand why the beast monarch agreed. The beast monarch frowned. At most 8,000. The demon court isn't rich. Sun Wuxuan continued to shake his head like a rattledrum. Kuan Yu couldn't stand anymore and said angrily, Sun Wuxuan, don't be insatiable. Even an ordinary celestial supremacy can't take out 8,000. Sun Wuxuan looked at him coldly. The demon master was captured alive twice, right? How much did you pay to redeem him? Kuan Yu. Could he not mention this? Even if he redeemed me twice, it wouldn't be that much. I've neglected second brother during this period of time. The beast monarch raised his hand slightly. 10,000. Immortal Emperor Wuxuan, you don't need to say any more. I won't give you any more. Thank you, beast monarch. Sun Wuxuan immediately smiled. The demon sovereign had only wanted 10,000. He hadn't even planned on asking for so much. The beast monarch was really rich. He gave it just like that. Beast monarch, Kuan Yu had just opened his mouth when Sun Wuxuan glared at him. The useless demon master can be redeemed twice. The demon sovereign with countless merits can't take a single immortal stone? Kuan Yu was completely silent. He gritted his teeth in hatred. He didn't want to see this monkey ever again. The beast monarch asked someone to bring the immortal stones. Sun Wuxuan somersaulted and ran away. Kuan Yu was dumbfounded. This despicable monkey only respected the demon sovereign. How could he have the face to ask the beast monarch for resources? Beast monarch, why? Kuan Yu was puzzled. The beast monarch had already seen through the monkey's intentions. Why did he still give it? The beast monarch waved his hand. You may leave. Kuan Yu retreated helplessly. The beast monarch's eyes flashed, and a hint of a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. A few immortal stones were nothing. As long as you can help me conquer the heaven realm. So what if I let you be the demon sovereign? Chapter 705. The demon emperor was given a fright when he received the resources, and he had Sun Wuxuan deliver them to Jiang Chongkong. The demonic beast emperor had never thought of taking back the resources he had given out. As for demon master Kuan Yu, he was doubting his own life. Jiang Chongkong accepted the resources and noticed something. He was actually still short of 250,000 essence, energy, and spirit. If he had known earlier, he would have asked for more. With 4 million, he could complete the Golden Crow Immortal Sutra and reach the limit of an immortal emperor. He could also improve his Tao body to the late stage. He was a little conflicted, but it didn't take long. I should improve my Taoist physique first. In any case, I'm only lacking this bit of essence, qi, and spirit. I'll be able to gather it soon. As his connate chaotic Tao body improved, the connate divine patterns in Jiang Chongkong's body became stronger. His defense and strength were also increasing. Green light flowed within his body, and the heavenly Tao fragment trembled, accelerating its transformation. As his Taoist body improved, his divine power also became more condensed, and the quantity also increased. The terrifying power was endless. The innate divine might had already reached the limit of an immortal emperor. His current strength was definitely not weaker than Sun Wuxuan, who was at the peak of the immortal emperor realm. Once he perfected the Golden Crow Immortal Scripture, he would be able to improve further. An hour later, the transformation stopped. Jiang Chongkong, peak immortal emperor, god emperor, 7 revolutions mysterious art. Desheng, 1/8, 000, 000, connate chaotic Taoist body. Desheng 1/8, 000, 000, Golden Crow Immortal Scripture. Complete. 1/4, 000, 000, Essence, Energy, and Spirit. 37661240. The power in his body was boundless. It could be said that his magic power was boundless. Just as he was about to come out of seclusion, he raised his eyebrows. A celestial king was contacting Guhan's Han. However, as soon as he opened his mouth, he was caught by Jiang Chongkong. Just as he was about to report the news, Jiang Chongkong activated his divine power, and the celestial king silently disappeared. He also wanted to see what Guhan's Han and the others wanted to do and how far they could go. Since they wanted to contact the major forces and occupy a place, then they should do their part for him. When they were almost done with their work, he only needed to accept the fruits of victory. The battle for the division of the ruins had already been decided. It would take place in 2 days. The location of the battle was near Mount Buzhou. Almost all the forces in the Heaven Realm participated in this competition. The Rogue Cultivator Alliance regained its peace. Sun Li and the others went into seclusion. Jiang Changkong's god power covered the entire god planet as he paid attention to everything happening on the god planet. 2 days passed, and nothing strange happened on the divine planet. Guhan's Han and the others tried to contact them, but the 6 immortal emperors brushed them off perfunctorily. They still didn't know that the itinerant cultivator alliance had already been replaced. The demon emperor and the demon master represented the heavenly court in the division of the ruins, and they led their people into the battle. Each force had prepared 12 immortal emperors, 3 from each realm. The early and intermediate immortal emperors were in Buzhou Mountain, while the late and peak immortal emperors were in the primal chaos. The destructive power of late-stage immortal emperors and peak immortal emperors was too great. Even with the Buzhou Mountain suppression, some of the Xiantian materials on the ground might be affected. Early and middle-stage immortal emperors would fight at low altitudes. They would choose a spacious area to fight in. The Rogue Cultivator Alliance and the other factions worked together to gather the immortal emperors. The immortal sect of suppressing Yuan, the Penglai sect, the immortal slaying sect, and the unaffiliated Cultivators Alliance had gathered a total of 12 immortal emperors. Guhan's Han would join the battle too. Pei Yuanheng wouldn't do anything. He would just watch the battle between the early stage and middle stage immortal emperors. Space was torn apart, and a terrifying aura entered the primal chaos. The chaotic air currents formed a majestic pressure. Even an immortal emperor would feel his strength being restricted. The demon, the arch, venerable Zhen Xian, and the others went deeper. They wanted to have a good chat with the celestial arch of the heavenly court. Divine light broke through the primal chaos. Immortal light swept away the dusk, and demonic energy surged, merging into the primal chaos. Many late-stage and peak-stage immortal emperors entered the primordial chaos. The demon emperor came as well. It was still the heaven-devouring python pulling the carriage. Boundless celestial might suppressed the primordial chaos, preventing the heaven-devouring python from being affected. Sun Wuxuan stood proudly in his chariot. Beside him were Aoyin, Yumia, and the other 7 immortal emperors who had participated in the primal chaos war. The people from the heavenly court also arrived. Old acquaintances, immortal Emperor Qin Kong, immortal Emperor Guangxian, and the peak stage immortal emperor who fused with the beast leg had all arrived. Over on the immortal court side, 7 immortal emperors had arrived, including Jietianshi. Following them were the immortal emperors of Jinyuan, Penglai, and immortal slaying sects, as well as Lin Qianshan and Guhan's Han. Below the heaven realms, celestial venerables, the strongest combat power was almost all present. Every faction had a peak-level immortal emperor holding the fort. On the side of the 3 immortal sects, apart from Lin Qianshan, there was also a peak-level immortal emperor from the Jinyuan immortal sect. Since everyone is here, let's talk about how we will start the battle and how we will split the spoils. The demon emperor's voice came from the palanquin. How we will split the spoils is up to the immortal sovereigns. We just need to decide who is stronger. Lin Qianshan said calmly. The demon emperor's voice sounded again. Oh, how do you intend to compete? We will form our own teams. Whether we will set up a killing formation or fight on our own will depend on our strength. We will decide who is stronger according to the number of wins. Jie Tianshi of the Immortal Court said. The demon emperor is still asking this now. You really don't know anything. The peak-level immortal emperor of the heavenly court said coldly. Seeing that you are unharmed, the heavenly court is really rich. I wonder if you will be saved by the immortal sovereigns again. The demon emperor's voice sounded coldly and mercilessly. The peak-level immortal emperor of the heavenly court harumphed coldly and said disdainfully, "If it wasn't for Jiang Changkong, I would have killed you like a dog. You have angered me." The demon emperor said indifferently. Chaos tore apart. Immortal light shone brightly. The ocean's steadying godly pillar released its ferocious might. Sun Wuxuan's expression was cold. Trash of the heavenly court. Angering the demon emperor is the same as angering me. Demon emperor, today is not your battle. The peak-level immortal emperor of the heavenly court said calmly. The grudge between the Earth Spirit immortal emperor and the demon emperor will be settled in the future. That's right. Now is not the time to settle personal grudges, Lin Qianshan said. All the major forces are gathered here. We should fight for our own interests. All the major forces are gathered here. Not everyone is here yet, right? The demon emperor said indifferently. Everyone frowned. What does the demon emperor mean? Which other forces are there in the heavenly realm other than us? A voice came from the palanquin. The Itinerant Cultivator Alliance. The Itinerant Cultivator Alliance? Lin Qianshan was startled. I am the leader of the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance. Gu Hanzhan frowned and his expression darkened. What does the demon emperor mean? Pei Yuanheng was not here. He was overseeing the battle between the early stage and mid-stage celestial emperors. The leader of the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance, Jiang Changkong, Sun Wuxuan said. Jiang Changkong? He is just a deputy leader. Lin Qianshan said coldly. The demon emperor has a good relationship with him, but there is no need to praise him so much. He has no right to interfere in this matter. That's right. Moreover, all the major forces have agreed not to let Jiang Changkong interfere, Gu Hanzhan said indifferently, not taking Jiang Changkong seriously at all. Jiang Changkong's combat power was not suitable for this kind of battle. Even peak celestial emperors could not withstand his attacks. Only with a divine artifact could they have the power to fight him. A peak celestial emperor of the heavenly court fused with a beast leg and almost used his life to prove this point. Jiang Changkong, that sh*t stirrer, we do not welcome him. That's right. He can stay in the divine planet. We will settle the score with him in the future. The heavenly court, celestial court, and celestial court all expressed that they did not welcome him. Although the celestial court and celestial court did not have a deep grudge with Jiang Changkong, they did not like him either. Chapter 706. Chaos rippled, and a chaotic divine aura swept over. Everyone who was scolding Jiang Changkong shut up. Although they weren't afraid of him, they didn't want to provoke him. Jiang Changkong wasn't just strong, he was also friends with the Yao Emperor. He wasn't a wandering cultivator who could be easily bullied. Everyone felt the pressure as the divine aura descended. Sun Wuxuan, who was a peak celestial emperor, was surprised. This divine aura wasn't something a peak celestial emperor could have. Boom! Chaos rippled and swept over all the celestial emperors present. For a moment, angry voices rang out one after another. Jiang Changkong, how dare you? Do you really want to become enemies with the entire heaven realm? All the celestial emperors were furious. This guy was targeting all of them. He didn't even let the Yao Emperor go. Sun Wuxuan's sea-calming divine needle shook and suppressed the chaos. The other celestial emperors suppressed the chaos. They weren't weak, but they were in a sorry state. You don't even welcome me. Do you need to care about what you think? A faint laugh sounded. A figure barged into the chaos battlefield alone. Jiang Changkong, what are you doing here? Lin Qianshan frowned. Jiang Changkong said calmly, as the leader of the Wandering Cultivator Alliance, I naturally have to represent the Wandering Cultivator Alliance. Lin Qianshan's expression darkened. No need. I can handle this. You don't have a say, Jiang Changkong said indifferently. TSK, Lin Qianshan, you can't even control your subordinates. A peak celestial emperor of the heavenly court scoffed. The other celestial emperors also spoke with disdain. Lin Qianshan, you should control your subordinates before going out. Otherwise, you'll be laughed at. Lin Qianshan's expression darkened. Don't test my patience, Jiang Changkong. Jiang Changkong's gaze shifted to Lin Qianshan. You're fired. Lin Qianshan. You don't understand? From today onwards, no. From 2 days ago, the leader of the Wandering Cultivator Alliance is me, Jiang Changkong. As for you, Lin Qianshan, 2 days ago, I expelled you from the Rogue Cultivators Alliance. You no longer have anything to do with the Rogue Cultivators Alliance. Jiang Changkong said blandly. Guhanzhan, you too. I couldn't find you before. Now that I've found you, I want to tell you. Heavenly Court, Immortal Court, and the other forces. What the hell was going on? The leader of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance has changed? Jiang Changkong was promoted? What kind of person would take the position without the Alliance Master around? There is such a thing as expelling the Alliance Master? Jiang Changkong. Lin Qianshan's gloomy face was filled with killing intent. He couldn't help but say, "You really triggered my killing intent. I'm not home, and you're going to destroy my home? You even kicked me out of the house." Lin Qianshan almost vomited blood. Jiang Changkong's actions were truly intolerable. Guhanzhan was also full of killing intent. "I shouldn't have accepted you, you ungrateful wolf cub." The Zhen Yuan celestial sect and the other forces were dumbfounded. "You allied with us to pursue a place to live, but in the end, you were the ones who caused the problem?" I'm dying of laughter. Sun Wuxuan clutched his stomach and laughed loudly. The other immortal emperors also couldn't help but laugh. Looking at the two overflowing with killing intent, Jiang Changkong said blandly, "Very angry? Don't worry, I can return the Alliance Master to you." "Are you admitting defeat?" Guhanzhan sneered. Admit defeat now? It was too late. He was ridiculing them in front of everyone in the heavenly realm. Once they returned, it would definitely spread throughout the heavenly realm. Jiang Changkong looked straight at Guhanzhan. "I have a friend. Do you know him? You talk too much. Die." Guhanzhan and Lin Qianshan were both enraged and used their killing moves. "Hey, you two, let me finish." Sun Wuxuan's figure flashed and appeared in front of the two, blocking their way. "You want to help him?" The two looked more and more gloomy. However, the immortal emperors of the heavenly court flew over and said coldly, "Jiang Changkong is an unruly wolf cub. I'll help you kill him." The other forces didn't intervene. They looked like they were watching a show. "Guhanzhan, do you know him?" Jiang Changkong waved his hand, and a corpse appeared. It was Guhanzhan. "You." Guhanzhan's expression changed dramatically. He shouted, "Where did you get this fake corpse? What are you plotting?" "Fake corpse." Jiang Changkong sneered and stepped forward with the corpse. "I'm very curious. Who are you?" "I found this corpse in the chaos. I was also shocked at that time." "Another Guhanzhan? He died in the chaos?" The forces were surprised. In addition to Guhanzhan, there are many corpses of immortal emperors that were being eaten by the chaos fierce beasts. You used their identities to establish the Rogue Cultivators Alliance. The real Guhanzhan has already died. Jiang Changkong came to Guhanzhan. "Are you from the Four Forces? Or is it a fairy? Immortal spirit?" The immortal emperors present were all shocked. They were all aware of how terrifying the immortal spirits were. They had almost destroyed the immortal world. Boom! The chaos was torn apart. Guhanzhan didn't care that there were layers of celestial emperors around him. He unsheathed his long sword, and the sword radiance tore the chaos, accompanied by the profound meaning of laws. At the same time, Lin Qianshan followed up, "Nonsense. You want to overthrow the Rogue Cultivators Alliance with a fake corpse." The eyes of the heavenly court's peak-level immortal emperor flickered, but he didn't make a move. If fairies were involved and he helped the wrong person, it would be troublesome. The threat of Xianling was definitely greater than that of Jiang Changkong. Ding! With a loud bang, he pointed his finger and the sword aura dissipated. The divine power passed through the long sword and instantly entered Guhan's body. With a bang, blood spilled, and Guhanzhan was sent flying. Lin Qianshan's attack followed closely behind. Jiang Changkong's right palm fell, and Guhanzhan, who was at the limit of the Celestial Emperor realm, was forced back. Jiang Changkong himself did not move an inch. "Evil creature, show your true form." Inside the divine palanquin, the divine might tore apart the chaos and suppressed Guhanzhan. "I'm Guhanzhan." With a furious roar, Guhan's Han ignored his injuries and attacked Jiang Changkong again. Jiang Changkong, you are really despicable. Lin Qianshan's divine spear pierced through the chaos and stirred up turbulence. Sun Wuxuan stirred the chaos qi with his divine stick and smashed it toward Lin Qianshan. Jiang Changkong's heart moved, and the divine banner fell. The power of the divine artifact shocked the celestial emperors present. Inside the divine palanquin, a chaos golden crow flew out and turned into a sun to help him. Boom! The three experts, who could be said to be the limit of 3 celestial emperors, attacked at the same time. Immortal light tore apart the chaos, dazzling. The two figures were covered in cracks, and the blood of celestial emperors kept spilling. A unique aura rose from their bodies and slowly dissipated. Jiang Changkong frowned and instantly appeared in front of the two. He raised his palm and absorbed the aura of heaven. There is indeed something wrong with you, Jiang Changkong. The two's eyes were cold, and the aura of heaven dissipated. Their bodies emitted another unique aura, and their bodies actually slowly merged with the chaos qi. Buzz! The divine banner trembled and stabilized the chaos qi, and Jiang Changkong captured the two. Boom! Lin Qianshan and Guhan's Han surged their immortal power, and the aura of heaven in their bodies dissipated faster and faster. Blood spilled. The special divine ability that the two had merged with the chaos qi was directly cut off by the divine banner. The laws dimmed, and the celestial emperors were at their end. The ocean-pacifying divine pillar, Pengu's banner, and the help of the demon emperor. 3 peak celestial emperors attacked, and the two could not resist at all. The reincarnation disc appeared and directly locked the two in place. The powerful divine artifact suppressed the seriously injured. Merge with the chaos qi, and you still say you are not celestial spirits. Chapter 707. Immortal Spirit. The immortal emperors were enraged. In the Zhen Yuan immortal sect, Taoist Qing Feng's expression was gloomy. The eyes of the immortal slaying sect's immortal emperors flickered. The immortal emperors of the Penglai sect had cold looks in their eyes. The immortal emperors of the other 4 forces were overflowing with killing intent. Back then, the heavenly emperors had paid a considerable price in order to clean up the immortal essence. To think that the leader of the Rogue Cultivators Alliance would be Xian Ling. Why didn't the heavenly Tao sense it? Jiang Changkong tore apart the primal chaos and suppressed the two of them as he headed for the heavenly realm. The immortal emperors did not have the intention to fight and hurriedly followed. In the heaven realm, the heaven power in their bodies had completely dissipated. Sun Wuxuan rushed down. Pei Yuanheng was still there. Without the aura of heaven, a unique aura rose from their bodies. The heavenly book of justice opened and information appeared. An immortal emperor immortal spirit is not tolerated by the heavenly Tao. A capital offense. The reward was 1,000,000 heavens power each. You guys really are immortals. All the immortal emperors could see the heavenly book's message. Jiang Changkong's eyes narrowed. Chaos beasts were not tolerated by the heavenly Tao. It was the same for immortal spirits. Guhan Shan's body appeared in the nest of the chaotic fierce beasts. Was there any connection between them? Jiang Changkong's primal chaos divine power seeped into Jiang Changkong's mind, and he began to search his soul. Boom! The two souls directly exploded. There were restrictions that prevented them from probing. Demon Emperor, Immortal Emperor Justice, I've caught this thing as well. Take a look. Sun Wuxuan carried Pei Yuanheng up, who was already on the verge of death. The demon emperor flew out of the divine palanquin, the divine sun fire burning. Jiang Changkong sent his divine power into his body again. Not long after, the power of heaven dispersed. It was another immortal spirit. Blood flowed out his mouth. Pei Yuanheng's gaze was sinister. Jiang Changkong, you ruined our plans. You will definitely die. Anytime. Jiang Changkong's palm landed, and Pei Yuanheng's head and body turned into a pile of mush. Immortal spirits? Why are they immortal spirits? The heavenly Tao does not tolerate it, but they have the aura of the heavenly Tao. Xie Tianshi flew over and asked in confusion. I don't know either. Jiang Changkong shook his head. Right now, we can only be sure that the immortal spirits have found a new way to hide themselves. They can absorb the aura of heaven into their bodies, making it impossible for the heavenly Tao to detect them. The celestial emperor's expressions darkened. If that was the case, wouldn't the immortal spirit be unable to detect it? Looking at the gloomy celestial emperors, Jiang Changkong said again, I found Guhan Shan's body by chance, so I guess so. This celestial spirit is seriously injured and dying, so its chi of heaven will leak. The immortal emperors, severely injured and on the verge of death, how was he supposed to find them? If he was really injured to that extent, he would need a lot of resources to recover. The forces behind them did have a lot of resources, but it was not enough for them to inspect the immortal essences like this. Sun Wuxuan's gaze was gloomy as he scanned the celestial emperors present. He was considering whether or not to kill them. Everyone, since the immortal spirit has been dealt with, let's put it aside for now. An immortal emperor said, Don't forget our current mission. That's right. Right now, we should prioritize the mission. Many powers agreed. They were here to divide the ruins. The appearance of the immortal spirit could only be considered a small interlude. Jiang Changkong scanned his essence, chi, and spirit. It was enough for him to perfect the Golden Crow Immortal Sutra. Hearing their words, he raised his head slightly. I've already cleaned up my sect. Let's continue to participate in the ruins battle. Immortal Emperor Jusher, who do you plan to send? The corner of Xie Tianshur's I twitched. This guy was probably not going to play by the rules. Of course it's me. I've already killed everyone, so I can only do it myself. Jiang Changkong said indifferently. The Celestial Emperors, from your battle prowess just now, you definitely have the battle prowess of a peak Celestial Emperor. If you fight, what can we use to fight against you? Jiang Changkong, this is not something you can mess around with, the peak Celestial Emperor of the Heavenly Court said coldly. Jiang Changkong looked at him disdainfully. I have a strength. Why can't I fight for a few ruins? You can send your subordinates. The Heavenly Court's Celestial Emperors said angrily. I already said that I killed them just now. Jiang Changkong pointed at the 3 corpses. What the F***CK? This was completely unreasonable. You want to become enemies with all of us? The Heavenly Court's Celestial Emperor said with a dark expression. Don't count me in, the Demon Emperor said indifferently. And don't count the Penglai Immortal Sect. The 2 Immortal Sects said. The Immortal Slaying Sect didn't say anything. The Celestial Court's Celestial Emperors and God Court's Celestial Emperors had dark expressions. The peak Celestial Emperor of the Heavenly Court gathered his courage and said coldly, Jiang Changkong, do you really want to challenge us with your own power? The Heavenly Court, the Celestial Court, and the Celestial Court had 3 peak Celestial Emperors. They were completely confident that they could suppress Jiang Changkong. As for the Immortal Slaying Sect, they also had peak Celestial Emperors. Their strength was not to be underestimated. Jiang Changkong had the reincarnation disc above his head and the Panga banner behind him. With the 2 sage artifacts on him, he said, Challenge? You really think too highly of yourselves. Heavenly Realm, Primal Chaos, choose your own burial ground. Impudent. All the Celestial Emperors were enraged. Sun Wuxuan narrowed his eyes as battle intent burned in his body. Jiang Changkong's gaze was calm as he secretly perfected the Golden Crow celestial scripture. The power of heaven directly transformed into chaos divine power. No one could see it. The power in his body was vast and boundless. The improvement of the Golden Crow Immortal Sutra allowed him to reach the limits of the Immortal Emperor realm. Coupled with his late-stage Immortal Emperor mystic technique and Tao body, he was now at the peak of the Immortal Emperor realm. He was fearless. Unless a celestial sovereign came, he could even fight Sun Wuxuan. If you dare to come to the primal chaos, we dare to kill you. The 3 peak celestial emperors charged into the primal chaos at the same time. The peak celestial emperor of the Immortal Slaying Sect followed. The Celestial Emperors exchanged glances and decided to watch the show. The transformation was still ongoing, but with the Heavenly Tao fragment, it wouldn't take long. After entering the primal chaos, Jiang Chankong's aura kept rising, reaching the peak celestial emperor and still rising. He had already put away the reincarnation disc and Panga banner. He felt that they were useless. Sun Wuxuan gripped the ocean, steadying godly iron needle tightly, and had the urge to join. The demon emperor transmitted his voice. Let's watch the show. He had wanted to provoke Sun Wuxuan to attack together and have a big battle royale. Unexpectedly, Gu Hanshan and the other two were really celestial spirits. There was no need to provoke him at all. I, Jiang Chankong, will defeat everyone. Unfortunately, the three celestial emperors that Gu Hanshan and the other two took away were not here. Arrogant, angry voices resounded. The three peak celestial emperors were completely enraged. The peak celestial emperor from the immortal slaying sect also had a cold gaze. Facing the four of them alone, he actually put away his sage artifact and chose to fight empty-handed. He was completely looking down on them. You guys really care about face. Jiang Chankong felt the rising power in his body. He absorbed the monstrous primal chaos into his body and transformed it into divine power. If I use the sage artifact, you will say that it's unfair. If I don't use the sage artifact, you will say that I'm arrogant and look down on you. This is really making things difficult for me. After saying that, his divine body grew bigger, becoming 10,000 feet tall. His muscles were like mountains, and green light coiled around his body like a divine dragon. The primal chaos laws merged into the green light, strengthening his divine power. The four celestial emperors also manifested their 10,000 feet tall divine bodies. Three celestial artifacts, spear, sword, and saber. The peak celestial emperor from the immortal slaying sect transformed into a true dragon. The majestic dragon might was not inferior to the dragon race. Chapter 708. Rumble. The immortal slaying sect's immortal emperor was the first to attack. He turned into a true dragon and controlled lightning. At this moment, it was mixed with chaotic energy and turned into chaotic lightning. The golden Hui gray divine lightning struck down. Jiang Chankong didn't dodge, allowing the lightning to strike his body. The green light fluctuated, but he wasn't damaged at all. Too weak. The immortal emperor of the heavenly court tore apart the chaos with his divine sword. The immortal emperor of the heavenly court swept out with his divine power, enough to destroy a divine planet. The immortal court immortal emperor's spear was like a dragon, containing unfathomable power. The three immortal emperors' ultimate techniques landed at the same time. Jiang Chankong flipped his hand. Primal chaos filled the sky. Green light gathered, and the laws of primal chaos suppressed their power. He raised his right palm and gathered the power of the primal chaos. Boom! Jiang Chankong's divine power rose again, and his aura broke through the immortal emperor limit. Terrifying palm power and vast chaotic divine power mixed with the green light engulfed the four immortal emperors. Rumble. The primal chaos shook violently, like an ancient demon god stirring the chaos. The four figures were sent flying. The blood of the peak immortal emperors splattered across the primal chaos. The three peak immortal emperors flew back 1,000 miles, shattering the primal chaos. Jiang Chankong took a step forward. The green light was like a screen in the sky, spreading for 30,000 miles. The laws of primal chaos were like divine dragons swimming happily in the green light. The primal chaos shook like a chaos demon god was coming out. It was like a ferocious demon was coming into being. The terrifying ferocious might and the ripples were already difficult for some late-stage immortal emperors to bear. The peak immortal emperors were also shocked and retreated. Sun Wuxuan's eyes flashed. His battle intent became stronger. At the same time, a thought appeared in his mind. The monster emperor was wrong. If he allowed Jiang Chankong to grow, no one could suppress him except the celestial sovereigns. He didn't think that the monster emperor could suppress Jiang Chankong. This was a true chaos demon god. Jiang Chankong's black hair moved like a divine dragon, shaking the primal chaos. A true chaos demon god. Although he hadn't reached that level yet, his terror was enough to make ordinary peak immortal emperors despair. Even Sun Wuxuan didn't have the slightest confidence in winning. No, Jiang Changkong had yet to utilize his sacred artifact. Either he did not use his sacred artifact, or both of them used their sacred artifacts. Sun Wuxuan couldn't help but admit that he might not be able to withstand a single move from Jiang Changkong. Jiang Changkong's power had completely surpassed the limits of an immortal emperor. It was not a power that an immortal emperor could possess. Boom! The three peak stage immortal emperors were sent flying. The peak stage immortal emperor's body cracked as he transformed into a giant tortoise. Even his tortoise shell was cracked. This is your power? Jiang Changkong felt the power in his body growing. He was full of confidence in his own strength. As long as an immortal venerable did not appear, he was already invincible. Before long, he would be invincible in the immortal world. Roar! The tortoise roared. The peak stage immortal emperor was covered in blood. A beam of white light tore through the chaos, shooting over. Jiang Changkong paused slightly. Immortal slaying flying saber. He felt that the white light had a special power, similar to the suppressive power of a sacred artifact. Of course, this wasn't a sacred artifact, but a saint-level divine ability. Although this immortal slaying flying saber was only a half-finished product, it was still very terrifying. It even affected the peak stage immortals, causing their speed to slow down. Now, the peak stage immortal emperor roared. He looked at the paused Jiang Changkong. He thought that his immortal slaying flying saber would be useful. He was an ant waiting to be slaughtered. Kill! The three peak stage immortal emperors didn't dare to hold back. Immortal power and divine power perfectly activated a peak 7th grade immortal artifact. Peak immortal emperor strength combined with a peak 7th grade immortal artifact. Even an immortal emperor wouldn't be able to easily withstand it. Moreover, the three of them were working together, and there was a peak stage immortal emperor. The peak stage immortal emperor also attacked, turning into a white divine tiger that pounced over. Sun Wuxuan's expression was solemn. The monkey fur on his body stood on end. He could only resist this power with the help of a sacred artifact. Boom! At this time, Jiang Changkong's aura rose a bit more. The laws, the green light, and divine power all gathered into one palm. He didn't use open the sky art. That would be too much of a bully. Rumble! As Jiang Changkong's palm landed, the four immortal emperors had the same thought. Why could he still move? Didn't you say that he couldn't move? Didn't you lock him in place? The immortal power and divine power were destroyed one after another. Cracks appeared on the immortal artifact, and the divine power pierced through the body. The peak stage immortal emperor's body exploded, leaving only his head, which flew into the chaos. Rumble! It crushed the chaos, and the chaos turbulence surged over. The green light above Jiang Changkong's head continued to rise. The vast divine power intoxicated him. Do you still want to struggle? Jiang Changkong stopped, and his divine power wrapped around the four immortal emperors, taking their spatial equipment. It seemed like they weren't immortal spirits. They didn't have the aura of heaven. The blood of the immortal emperors scattered across the chaos. The four immortal emperors used their immortal power to heal their injuries. They looked at him viciously. Jiang Changkong, don't be arrogant. The celestial sovereign still decides. Jiang Changkong said indifferently, Celestial sovereign, I will become an celestial sovereign. That day is not far away. At that time, who would teach who would distribute the benefits, and who would set the rules? He looked at the rest of the immortal emperors. What about you? Let's stop for today and wait for the celestial sovereign's decision, the demon emperor said. His main body had already beaten them all. There was no point in them competing anymore. Only a celestial sovereign could suppress Jiang Changkong's strength. If he wanted to cause trouble, no one could do anything. Of course, as the demon emperor, he definitely wouldn't stand out. Let's go. Sun Wuxuan carried the sea-steadying divine iron needle and gave up on the idea of competing. Jiang Changkong's divine power was restrained. The transformation was complete. The few of you who are injured, be careful. Be careful not to encounter immortal spirits on the way and take the opportunity to attack, Jiang Changkong kindly reminded them. You don't have to worry. The four immortal emperors snorted coldly and returned to their teams, although they said that they were panicking in their hearts. If the immortal spirits really came, would they kill them and replace them? Right now, the heavenly Tao couldn't detect immortal spirits. Jiang Changkong tore space apart and left, returning to the divine planet. The itinerant cultivator alliance truly belonged to him now. He didn't dare to search the souls of the 6 immortal emperors because he was worried that there would be restrictions and they would die. He didn't know if he should search the souls of the other god kings, or should he just beat them all half to death? He still had a lot of resources on him. There were only 6 immortal emperors, so the consumption wasn't big. As for the immortal kings and immortal lords, they weren't much of a consumption to him now. He had also gained a lot this time. The spatial rings of Lin Qianshan and the other 2, as well as the spatial equipment of the 3 peak immortal emperors and the peak immortal emperors of the immortal slaying sect. The healing herbs should be able to support them. He would beat them half to death before healing them. However, he was worried that the weaker immortal emperors like the immortal lords and immortal kings would be easily replaced. He should focus on the immortal emperors and deal with the 6 immortal emperors first. Just as he was about to call the 6 immortal emperors over, immortal light flashed in the temple and condensed into a human figure. Immortal spirit, you still dare to appear in front of me? Jiang Changkong was stunned. He didn't expect the immortal spirit's incarnation to dare to look for him. It was just an incarnation, so the heavenly Tao didn't react. The immortal spirit's blurry face looked at him and said with a hint of mockery, "Why? Immortal Emperor Justice, you could track my true body from my incarnation?" Chapter 709. The arrival of the celestial spirit incarnation was beyond Jiang Changkong's expectations. Thinking about it, it was reasonable. After all, he had killed 3 celestial spirits. The other party would definitely come and talk to him. I really can't find your original body. I'm very curious how you can accommodate the aura of heaven. Jiang Changkong looked at the celestial spirit incarnation with a burning gaze. Is it because of the previous deal? It seems that Immortal Emperor My Justice has already thought of it. The celestial spirit incarnation smiled. That's right. Thank you, Immortal Emperor My Justice. It's just a deal. No need to be so polite. Jiang Changkong said indifferently. Even if I didn't trade, didn't you get what you wanted from the 4 forces? Immortal Emperor My Justice indeed knows. Unfortunately, you are just an immortal emperor, and one that they don't like. The celestial spirit incarnation sat down at the side and said with a hint of bewitchment, "You are not tolerated by the forces of the heaven realm. We are not tolerated by the heavenly Tao. Why don't we unite and change the heaven realm? If celestial spirits have this ability, do it. Why look for me?" Jiang Changkong said coldly. At the end of the ancient era, you were almost killed, right? At the end of the ancient era, the extremely powerful celestial spirits suddenly collapsed. It was definitely not because they chose to hide. It must have been a powerful person who almost wiped out the celestial spirits. The celestial spirits had no choice but to hide and develop in the dark. The celestial spirit incarnation fluctuated and said in a somewhat sinister tone, "Immortal Emperor My Justice knows a lot. Unfortunately, he is no longer here. Do you really think that Hutu has left?" Jiang Changkong said coldly. "Maybe she is waiting for you to jump out." Hutu, the heavenly ghost, great emperor of the underworld, who suppressed half-sages, left 3 strands of malevolent aura for him to protect his life. All the signs pointed to one thing. Hutu had returned. After the ancient era, the immortals left, but Hutu returned. Only a saint could kill everything and save the heavenly realm back then. In the past, he did not dare to think about it, but after obtaining the 3 strands of malevolent aura, he was already certain. Venerable Zhen Xian was once enlightened by Hutu. Back then, Zhen Xian was only a minor immortal, and an immortal after the ancient era. How did he see Hutu? Little Gua of the underworld was also enlightened by the Lady of Earth, but he wasn't sure whether Hutu was still there. Maybe she just came back to take a look. The celestial spirit's incarnation emitted a cold air, a bone-chilling coldness. Huda has been gone for a long time. We know it better than you. Looks like Huda really did come back. She was also the one who killed your immortal spirit turtles. Jiang Changkong stood up and said indifferently, "Do you want to trade? I can give you a chance. We don't need the heaven aura, nor do we need the immortal aura." The celestial spirit incarnation said coldly, "I came to invite you to join us. But now, it's clearly impossible. Even if yours truly were to join the immortal spirits, you guys wouldn't be able to trust me." Jiang Changkong said indifferently, "It's just like the current immortal dimension. It's very difficult for them to trust anyone who defers to them, even if it's someone they invited. You've already understood all of this. I'll see how long you can live for." The celestial spirit said coldly, "Looks like you really don't want to make a deal." Jiang Changkong sighed softly. "You don't want the divine artifact's origin aura anymore. In this world, you're not the only one with divine artifact fragments." The celestial spirit incarnation slowly dissipated. "Jiang Changkong, one day, you'll be so desperate that you'll beg me. That day, maybe you'll be the one begging me to spare your lives." Jiang Changkong's attitude was tough, and his expression was cold. Although he didn't know what the celestial spirit was, he had already gotten the information he wanted. As for the trade, he could only regret it. If the celestial spirit incarnation wanted something like the divine artifact's origin aura again, he could continue to probe and see if he could dig out more information. Now that the celestial spirit incarnation didn't want anything, it proved that they had already gotten it. He had no more value. The celestial spirit incarnation dissipated, and Jiang Changkong began to check his information. Jiang Changkong, Peak Immortal Emperor, God Emperor, 7 transformations, mysterious art. Desheng, 1800000 Khanate chaotic Dao Constitution. Desheng, 1/8000000 Golden Crow Immortal Scripture. Perfected, 4000/400000 Essence, Chi, and Spirit. 661370. There is still some distance to go to the Celestial Lord level. When the situation of the Itinerant Cultivators Alliance stabilized, he would go to the Chaos Ruins to take a look. Buzz. Light flashed, and the 6 immortal emperors arrived quickly. Jiang Changkong's eyes flashed, and 2 rays of divine light shone on the 6 of them. Alliance Master Jiang, the 6 immortal emperors' expressions changed, and their bodies flew out. The immortal emperor's blood spilled, and they were seriously injured and on the verge of death. They were a little confused, and they couldn't understand why Jiang Changkong would attack them. They had completely submitted to him. Jiang Changkong looked indifferent, staring at the 6 immortal emperors who were on the verge of death. There was no power of heaven dissipating. The Book of Heaven didn't change either. The chaotic divine power entered the divine souls of the 6 people, ready to search their souls. There were no restrictions, so it was easy to search their souls. They weren't celestial spirits, but immortal emperors of the heaven realm. They used to be in the chaos. When the heaven realm was reorganized, Guhanshan and the other 2 found it and formed the Itinerant Cultivators Alliance. Take it. Jiang Changkong took out healing elixirs and healed them. Alliance Master? The 6 immortal emperors were confused. What was going on? Injure them, and then heal them? Was he free? Was it fun? Lin Xianshan and the other 2 have already been executed. They were formed from immortal spirits. The real Guhanshan is already dead. Jiang Changkong explained the matter. The 6 immortal emperors understood, and their faces turned pale. Alliance Master suspects that many of the itinerant immortal emperors were replaced by immortal spirits. It's not just the itinerant immortal emperors. I'm afraid the 4 major forces are the same. Jiang Changkong sighed softly. The 4 major forces might have cleaned up the immortal spirits, but they probably didn't. If the immortal spirits were protected by the aura of heaven, the heavenly emperors of the 4 major forces wouldn't be able to find out. Even if they were seriously injured, they wouldn't be able to solve the problem. Could it be that they would only be sent out to investigate once in the future? How many resources could be wasted? The most fundamental solution was to find the lair of the immortal spirits and destroy them all. Even if 1 or 2 were missed, it wouldn't cause any trouble. Alliance Master, what should we do? One of the immortal emperors asked. The reason why the itinerant cultivator alliance could exist and be safe before was probably because the immortal spirits were secretly supporting it. After all, Lin Xinshan and the others had a wide network, and the other forces might also have immortal spirits. If they worked together, it wouldn't be difficult to protect them. Now, the itinerant cultivator alliance only had one Jiang Changkong. His network could barely be counted in Demon Emperor Jin Yuan and Peng Lai. This wasn't enough to protect the itinerant cultivator alliance. You don't have to worry about this. I will take care of it. Jiang Changkong waved his hand. If they really wanted to deal with him, he dared to use 2 of the 3 chances to make the other party pay the price. At most, he would flee to the primal chaos and find that time tributary that was surging in the primal chaos. After letting the 6 immortal emperors leave, Jiang Changkong sat alone in the immortal emperor justice hall and started to count his gains. 7 immortal emperors, 4 of whom were limit immortal emperors. They should have a lot of resources. Essence, Qi, and Spirit. 560 top-grade immortal stones. High grade, 890. Medium grade, 1,200. Low grade, 2,100. Total essence, Qi, and Spirit, 941,000. Immortal Emperor-level resources were already top-grade resources and were very rare. It was already pretty good to have this little gain.